happy to see you, man. See Tamasha. Thank you so much for joining us. Actually, the deputy governor for Isiolo was here. I think he will come back. He wanted to listen. Maybe he went back, but he will come back. I know. And many speakers are coming in. Maybe with time. I know. Maybe it is early in Kenya now. It is 7 p.m. And welcome, welcome everybody. Oh, Grace, I see you here. You are here. Eh? Thank you so much, guys. Yes, you can have a mic, and we start this conversation um, at this point, and we see what is happening. What is our take on the reconstituting of the IBC? Does it making sense? Does this having this organization, does it make sense to Kenyans, or is just bringing painful to Kenyans? Because we see every election we have things apart from 2022 whereby the election was went smooth and everything went, but the rest has been, though the votes didn't counted well, there's been blah blah and so many things, and we see many Kenyans losing their life on the same. What is your take on this? What is your take on this? Having a new IBC office and see things are running. Have a mic and let us have a conversation around that, uh, so that we can see what is happening. Who want to open for us today? Who want to open for us? Oh, Wanjiru, I see you. How are you doing? I see New Horizon. How are you? It is happy to see you again. Coming. I still was. Oh, Shilau. Shilau, how are you doing? Happy to see you, man. Yes, guys, have a mic. Have a mic so we can start this conversation. We see what is happening, and yep. New Horizon, how are you doing today? New Horizon, how are you? Wanjiru, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night. It depends wherever you are. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good good evening, Hillary, and pressure point in general. I'm good.
Yes.
Good. Uh, actually, today I want to do the more of listening because I didn't listen to the IBC officials being interviewed. I was busy listening to Ruto must go. Yeah, there was this notion of you shouldn't say Ruto must go from Nuldin Haji. So I was busy saying it.
Ruto must go, eh?
Yeah, I was busy saying Ruto must go and understanding how the
They were say-
MPs added salary.
yeah, I hear them saying that if you say Ruto must go, you will be now it will be a problem. Hmm?
Yeah, so I was busy saying it because I like breaking the laws.
You're not a good citizen. If you're breaking, we need to obey the law. Hmm?
Yeah, I'm happy. Like I'm not actually happy with IBC because it should have been reconstituted last year.
Yeah.
I think it's time where the government became serious. Like there are a lot of by elections that maybe before by this year, a lot of by elections, a lot of senators who died, no, maybe one or two, a lot of MPs who are missing, a lot of MCAs. So I think the reconstitution of IBC is going to be one of the crucial things to actually understand the heat in the how the power play, because Ruto will actually try to understand kama watu wanampenda ama bado. Yeah, so I think he's going to actually reconstitute the IBC as soon as possible because the by-elections that are happening or that will maybe happen because of the missing senator. There is a senator who died. There is an MP who actually died. There are constituencies without MPs. So I'm actually looking forward for that. I haven't had the interviews, but I think Lonyo, if Lonyo is here,
Yeah,
yeah,
Ronyo,
Lonyo
Ronyo
did
is coming.
listen.
Ronyo is coming.
Yeah,
I know
Lonyo,
he will.
Lonyo did listen, so he might tell us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I want to give a little bit history of IBC. IBC actually was not, it was just constituted the other day, 2011. whereby Yasakasan was the chair by that time, and the work was this organization. The main role was responsible for conducting and overseeing election, maintaining voter registration, and determining boundaries or delimiting the boundaries for constituencies and wards. And Isaac Hassan was the first person who was given this office, and he served as the chairperson from uh, his time from 2011 to around 2013, where the general election. Um, I don't know whether it was put there. But before then there was this guy was called who, the one that announced Kibaki before 202. It was what was his name? His name went. Then we have seen Wafula Chibukati taking in 2017 and becoming there, and he did two elections actually. Is the person that did the election. But before then, uh, what was his name? What is the name of this guy? Why his name is going now? I don't know what's happening. But the question is, we have seen so many people running, and the election of 2017 was having a lot of issues, whereby I can remember other teams like James Oswago was there. There was I don't James Oswago was there as CEO sometimes. There was this Margaret Mwachanya, something like that. There was Nyukuri, acting CEO by then, with James Oswago. Uh, After James Oswago, I think, and then there was Rosin Akombe, who was one of the commissioners by that time. I was looking all these people to come today. Yeah, I hope two of them will join to tell us how beauty is this office, and how much. But does this office serve Kenya really? Does this office help us to get what we want as voters, as Kenyans voters? And now, because we're seeing now, yes, they're doing interviews and everything is going on and everything. The bigger question is, what is our take on this board called Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission? What is his role really? Does it serve Kenyans, or just bring issues to Kenyans? Do we need it really in our electoral process? Because we are seeing people are being voted from the wards. They are being announced in the constituency level. They are from constituency level. They go for counties. From counties, they go to national. Do we need all this process um, to get the clear results, or what do we think about all these things that is happening and everything? Timeless, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm good, happy to see you, man. Welcome on board.
Uh, Thank you so much. It was, I think, it was Samuel Kivuitu who, if my memory serves
Exactly,
me right,
exactly.
it was
Samuel
Samuel
Kiviutu, yeah,
Kivuitu
you're very right.
who was the chairperson of the. It was not even IEBC. It was by then called ECK, the Electoral Commission of Kenya, if I remember well. Um, yeah. But to me, if you really listen to Kenya, then you will know that because again, Samuel Kivuitu was the ECK chairperson during the 2002 general election, and then also the 2007, and then the 2017. Then now we had an introduction of there was amendments in parliament that now brought the IEBC. But again, if you really listen to Kenya, the problem before I even come to the current interviews, because I had an opportunity to listen to a few of the I took my time to listen to the a few of the chairpersons being interviewed. So, but before I come to them, I want to just to say something about the most where the problem lies, and this is where we need to focus. The problem of Kenyan election lies at the voter register. That is where the problem lies. That is the biggest problem. Why? Because those You had the other day in the funeral of the funeral of the late captain who was by the other day. People confessed that they manipulated the voter register. They confessed. Yes, SK had confessed that he was in the meeting where the voter register was manipulated. And he said that as long as that voter register is still in use, Kenyan will never have a free election. Kenyans will never have a free election. That's what they said. And if you look at it true, you can agree with it. Why? Because he said in the run-up to the 2013 elections, the voter register was manipulated from that time. And if you look at the 2002 when Kibaki won, me and you can agree that that election was free and fair. Kibaki won that election, and it was you could see that it was the voice of the people that came out clearly. If you look at 2007, Raila won that election. If we want to be honest, Raila won that election. Yes, there were issues of rigging here and there, but Raila won that election. From 2013, in fact, if I remember what SK said was that he was he and the captain, they agreed that whoever dies first, the person the other person will reveal the secrets of how the election of how the voter register was tainted. And he requested President Ruto that before you leave office, ensure that the register let us have a new register. So for me, now, even before we speak of Ruto must go, with this old register, this register in use now, we need to get a new voter register. We need a complete overhaul, because it is not, you can get the right personnel there. You can get Wanjiru there as the IEBC chair lady. But if the tools, if the systems have been primed to deliver results in a particular way, the results will not change. This person will not change anything. That's the truth of the matter. And even if you remember, how Ruto, and if you want to know, Ruto knows about this register, because in that 2013, when the likes of SK Hari and his friends were manipulating the register in his house. In fact, SK said very well. It's on record. Even his wife, SK's wife, was trying to shove him on the back to tell him, no, stop, you are revealing too much. He turned back to the wife and told her, you are pushing me too much. Allow me speak. Ruto, in that time, Ruto was vying as the deputy president. He was in that 2013. So Ruto knows this very well. He knows the register is tainted. And even in 2022, he knew the register is tainted. And he said, it doesn't matter. I remember him, he used to say, I don't care who is the IEBC chairperson. In fact, he used to mock the old man from Opoda, that even if you are Oburu, your brother is the chairperson, I don't care. That is the confidence of a candidate. That confidence was yes. These are things, issues on record. In fact, I remember he said, even the day of when the presidential candidates were presenting their papers, he said that he doesn't care who the chairperson is, even if it is Uburu's brother or Odinga's brother. He doesn't care. So, coming into this, for me as a voter who has voted now in 3 consecutive elections, general elections, what I would want to see first, and I've said this even before in other fora, that for me, even in this issue of clamor for trying to regional balance in leadership, I don't care who is there. I just want the systems to work. I don't care who's the CS for education, who is the CS for finance, blah, blah, blah. I just want the system to work. I just want the education system to work. I want healthcare to work. the same applies to IEBC. If the systems are tainted, my brothers and sisters, we're gonna get it wrong. So because now you look at it, for example, now look at now coming to the IBC interviews. I had I took my time to to watch the candidates. A few of them, I think. I listened to a few of them. Robert Makasembo. I listened to the panel interviewing Robert Makasembo. I also listened to the panel interviewing Anna Madi, Isaac, or that Ruto person Nyachai. I think also a few more. I think a few. I think also 3 or 4 more. But I want to tell you, also, I think the commissioners, I also listened to Mdivo and the rest. I want to tell you for sure that those questions, even if you take anybody there, will answer them. They are basic questions.
Right.
And that's why for me, yes, that's why for me, I think these people are playing politics with us. Raila, Ruto. Look at even the panel. How long did it take Hillary for the panel to be reconstituted? Just because Augustus Chalumuli and Koki ule mwingine Koki Wiper was in tussle with Azimio, who is supposed to be in the panel. Look at that thing. That only made the country not to have commissioners all that time. That tells you there is vested interest there. There is an interest, because I remember Augustus Chalumuli and that Koki somebody. Kalonzo wanted Koki, Azimio, I don't know, wanted Chalu. And Kalonzo was pushing so strong. Azimio kupitia kwa Raila was pushing. Tells you they have got vested interest there, and these interviews may just be. Now look at, for example, as I learned, Hillary, 105 people have been shortlisted for 6 posts. How do, and the interviews just last around 30 or 40 minutes, asking me who is the president of Chad, who's the president of Uganda. I mean, those questions. Me, what we need to focus on is the system. If the system is clean, if the election, the votes that are casted at that particular polling station are announced as they are, and they reflect what is there at Bomas, I don't care whether it is Dolphin or Academia who is the IEBC chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Travelers, for reminding us that Kibitu was the chair for a long time of Electoral Commission of Kenya, and then the IBC came in where Isaac Hassan picked it up. Then from Isaac Hassan we saw Wafula Chebukati, who passed away some few days ago, or months. And yes, thank you so much for you. You've said that you don't care who can be uh, who should lead this board, this independent election and boundary commission, but the system. If the system is not working, then it won't help us anything. And that's why we're here. But we are the voters, because we are seeing this thing. This thing was set, and that's why I think it was given a name, that independent electoral and independent. Does this board really independent, or is just a political game that is being played, and then regional balancing and everything? It is the same thing. I think that is happening because Kivitu was stayed there for so long until the end of Kibaki. Then there is constituted all these things. Then Isaac Hassan. Actually, Isaac Hassan was supposed to join us, and I hope maybe he might find time. He was having several meetings. I was looking for him to join us to tell us more about all these things, and also what is our take. I see Boss, I see Johan, I see Academia, and Joe. So yes, Dolphin, welcome, and Gillian. Boss, what is your take about this reconstituting of the IBC?
Jambo Hillary, Jambo Hillary. Can you
Jambo,
hear
mambo
me?
vipi? Uko aje baba?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Now,
Karibu sana.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing up this discussion about the IBC. One, I'll start by saying that we have a very beautiful constitution that is quite comprehensive, but it's been abused. And for now, our constitution has been used for long as what I would describe as mapambo. And there are some processes and procedures that are part of that constitution that's been used by the political class for PR. Ideally, if you look at the IBC reconstitution process that's going on, we purely know that's PR. What's going on, the questioning, the interviewing, and everything, all that is PR. Whoever will be selected to be the chairperson of IBC, of course, is already known by the person who will finally make that decision that we already all know who will make that decision. So ideally, as it is, the entire process is political. And what we are seeing on TVs as IBC chairperson interview, that's PR. And for you to know that this is just PR and nothing will come out of it, don't expect any serious changes because we'll have a new IBC chairperson or other. Because we've had constituencies around, I think there are over 7 different levels of elections or more that we should be having in Kenya. If we talk about MPs, those who've died, senators, and we've not been able to do that, yet we have IBC that's being funded. We could not do that simply because we didn't have 7 people in office, because we do have a chairperson, we have a deputy chairperson, and the 5 commissioners. We've not held an election, and these people have not been represented in parliament for the past number of months, even a year, simply because 7 people did not sit in an office, and the process was dragged for very long, and we've ended up with what we have. And in the run to election, definitely, IBC heavily relies on the executive for support, parliament, and the judiciary. So they get lots of manipulation at the end of the day. Like the president has a say. The president himself is running. In the same commission, there's a lady who is sitting in the commission that's picking or interviewing the IBC chair or other commissioners, and she's still a nominee for deputy governorship somewhere in Meru or something like that. So what do we expect out of that? So
Linda Kiome.
Exactly. So all this is just PR. It's PR, and we look at it from a very plastic perspective. It looks all good. Oh, the procedures were followed. What did the court say? What did the political class say? And finally, the president will sit somewhere and put a tick on somebody's name that he wants. Then the election process starts. So tukianza kwenda kupiga kura, the processes that are outlined in the constitution will again be used as PR, Amka asubuhi, enda kwa ballot, weka tick kwa mtu yenye unataka, weka pale, the results you see. Kenya is a very small country, for God's sake. Why has it always taken us 3 days, 5 days to declare results? Actually, if there's one big mistake that was done in that constitution, I think it should be amended. Na waandike hapo that election results should be declared within 24 hours after that election has been held. It should not go beyond 24 hours. Kama America inafanya election, they do the elections and they get to declare their results within the shortest time possible. And it's a massive country, and many countries across the world, 10 times the size of Kenya, or even more, they've been able to conduct the elections within a very short period of time. Results are announced and life goes on, In some of those places, you won't even tell that elections are going on, But for us, we've banked so much on politics, and everything is done from a political lens. There is no proper constitution of this kind of independent commissions for longevity, in the long run. Will IBC be there? Will it have a proper foundation that will serve for a long time, because what we have is something for 2027. After 2027, we are like, oh, we don't like Commissioner X because they are siding with a political party Y, so let's bring in somebody else. And then this chairperson has done this. So I think we need some permanency in some of these things. And we should, irrespective of whoever sits in that office as the chairperson or the commissioner, we need some level of stability in this entire election process, because it's been a big issue. Like Tribal has mentioned something about the register, you know, and every now and then we are registered. Why should we register voters? Anybody with an ID card should go and vote. An adult Kenyan citizen with an ID card should be allowed to vote. And of course, how do you become a citizen? You are 18 years and above. And again, we spend millions, billions of money trying to register those who are interested in voting. I think we should have a register with all citizens. Kama uko na kipande and upige kura. You can go vote in Nairobi if you want. You can go vote in and you can do that thing online. You know, we should make these things simple. Election process should not be something as elaborate as Kenyans make it. Because next time utaona sasa, they'll start this thing of, oh, we are trying to register voters. Billions will be spent. Then they'll start talking about, oh, the KMS kits that were bought in Germany, where are not working. We need this much billions to buy. Let's have some proper foundation for our election systems, you know, in the
Yes,
country.
boss.
So as I finish, Hillary, this is what I want to say.
Okay.
Don't expect much from what's going on.
Yeah,
That's
but boss,
just
boss, I don't want to cut you, but as you finish, as you wrap up, I want you to give us. I want this conversation to be, what can we do moving forward? What are the action steps that should we take? And then after getting all these action steps, I want to assure you that the pressure point will be following up all this, because we are engaged so much in civil education and seeing to reach our people on the ground and everything. We have so many much team that is going around the class. So can our conversation, because what we have noticed that this thing is just a PR, and we know that very well. So what can we do? Let us focus. What can we do moving forward, and what are the action steps that should we take? And now we want to see the results orientation, tangible solutions as we come here, because I noticed that. Without that, then we'll be just crying here. These people will be just doing the same. So can we be totally different as pressure point team? That what can we do moving going forward? What are the tangible solutions? What are the steps that should we take as a Kenyan people? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Larry. As I finish, this is what I can say. As a solution, mimi naona let's have one person in that office, a chairperson. Akiretire, we'll get another person. This issue of having these guys serve, they do 7 years or 6 years and then they go away, leaves lots of room for interference by the political class. But if we had somebody in that office, be it the commissioners and the chairperson, let's have one person in that office, and that's their work, and that's what they should focus on. And Kenyans should know this person, so that's somebody we can question. Because we had Chebukati the other day, RIP, but he's left. There are gaps already. We had commissioners, they've left. Some of them are ambassadors already, you know. So why can't we just have one person serving as the IBC chairperson for long, to establish proper systems that will work, even if he's going to be there for 10 years or even 20 years, you know? Let's have that foundation. This issue of playing around politics with the election systems of our country has messed us, and we saw it in 2007. So I think let's have some permanency. That's it. Thank you, Larry.
Oh, thank you so much, boss. Okay, the person is coming. I see, Grace, your hand is up. As you come in, boss saying that we have one person. If you have this person, how can we get this one person? These are the things that we need to talk as pressure point, because I noticed we don't want to be a space that we are ranting, but we want to be a space whereby we listen to people and we know, actually we know what is happening and we are aware. So as people are coming here, and also the whole week, actually we are so much engaged with the things that is going on the ground and everything before coming here on Sundays. What do you think, Grace, that going forward, because what they're doing, we have 12 people now being interviewed and everybody, and some even the interview or the panels that interview these people, some are connected and everything. What do you think that we need to do as Kenyans going forward, so that we can have a proper electrical boundary commission that will work for the people?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone that is in this space. Thank you for the opportunity, Hillary. But Hillary, why are you even suffering for these people by creating these platforms? People come here, people talk, but behind the scenes, what people are doing are just totally different. You see, I always say that Kenyans deserve everything bad happening to them. And when you offer yourself on the reforms, you're the same person they will hate in some few years to come. But now going to the context of the conversation, if we look at the reconstitution of IEBC, is it transparent enough? The answer is no. What criteria did they use to now say that these are the people we have selected for the interview? We saw they were saying, of course, I saw it in the newspapers, the job were announced and people could apply. But what we don't know is the criteria that they used and said, now, these are the people that we feel can do this job. I feel it was opaque. And if anything, if the government wanted citizens involved, they could have maybe put the live interview so that people can see the kind of people we are going to put in that office. Are they people of integrity? But you see, the people that were also in that panel, some of them have cases that have never been resolved. So that's why I'm still stuck. What criteria did the government use to say that these people are the people who can work for us in the IEBC? Now, looking at the budget of the IEBC, I feel Kenyans are not serious. Yes, because billions of shillings are used for vague results. Incompetency that we see during elections is just unquestionable. And I think our level right now, we don't even deserve to say that we are going to print ballot papers from another country, come here, and we want to do elections. Then you find the ballot papers everywhere. You see, so I feel we have not really strategized on how we want our elections to be. Because for the matter of fact, if we just look at what happens during elections, number of ballot papers that are printed, and if I may be sure of it, this election will not be transparent. If we go with the system that this government is going with, we are not going to have elections come 2027. We'll have a charade kind of elections. So I want a situation, just like I ever said in this space, where tech can be used, proper tech can be used, and I can know where I am voting from. I can even go and check where I voted from in 5 years to come just by using my mobile phone or my laptop, and I can be able to even see the polling station I voted from. So these things I believe is possible in this century. When you are still talking of ballot papers, then we are not serious as Kenyans. We want a situation whereby thumbprints is enough for elections so that we avoid these issues of elections getting stolen and results are not really clear each and every year. So these are things that can work. If other countries are doing it, why are we not doing it?
No.
So I feel there's a very big gap. And lastly, if I just touch on the step way forward, I think IT
Yeah, steps of
system and
actions. Mm.
yeah. So IT are the only people who should be employed at the IEBC. We should have, yes, a chairperson, but another issue is all these employees that you put here as IEBC executives or representatives. I feel it's irrelevant, and we should work on our IT systems so that we may be able to have a credible election. So right now, with those few remarks, I think there is a lot to be done, and we are not going to have any elections in 2027. Thank you so much, Hilary.
Thank you so much, Grace, for reminding us that. And I want to be fair to everybody today that when you have a mic, take 4 minutes. The fifth minutes, you just wrap up so that we can have so many people. We have a lot of requests. I see you, Dr. Milton. I see you, Masimba, and many other people coming. And yes, we have this one. We are looking way forward and step of actions as pressure point team so that when you come here at least we have a solution. Grace saying that sisi wa Kenya sisi ndio tuko na tabu ama sisi ndio wajinga zaidi kwa sababu ni sisi tunatumika wakati ambapo haya mambo yote yanaendelea, lakini ndio maana tuko hapa, tunaona ni jukumu gani ambayo inafaa tuweze kuchukua sisi kama Wakenya, sisi ambao tunapiga kura. Je, hawa watu wanatuchezea akili ama yale ambao wanatenda kinyume na mapenzi ya matakwa yetu ama namna gani? That's why we are here today. And also, I want to remind you, there's app called Akinyi app, and I think is here. If you can download that app. That app is built by a Kenyan, and actually it is an app called the Akinyi app. It's an app that will guide you. It's more so talking about the parents and those people who have children. More so we have children that have disability and everything. That app can help you. You see the system and everything. So we are trying to do that also to promote what our Kenyans are doing. Kenyans for Kenyans, and this amazing app that is coming up, and you can give your details on there. You can see what is happening. So as you download other things, also that one you can download. That one is just part shot of the show today. Yes, Academia. I wanted to go in before Joe Angeshi. Then I'll give Dr. Milton. Go ahead.
Uh, Thank you, Hilary. Very quick. You see the IBC, that is the ECK. So people saw it wise. We moved from ECK to IBC. So the word independent was purposely introduced to cure the trust deficit on the body. And then people thought that by bringing the word independent, then you've already gained that trust. So dependence, IBC, independent IBC. So that word was strategically put there to lure Kenyans to think that now this is not like the one we had. This is going to be independent. Now look at the way that the people were questioned during the interview. First of all, when somebody is implicated in a case, maybe ongoing or something like that, and you shortlisted the person for an interview, then you come again during the interview to invoke the same. You start questioning somebody about the case. First of all, why did you shortlist this person in the first place? To tell you the kind of silliness that is there. So again, that is wrong, because I would expect people who are shortlisted to be of chapter 6, the integrity of the highest order, so that you don't bring somebody for interview to start asking them the cases that they had. And we have so many people who are there that have never had I've never been implicated in any case. So again, that tells you the monster we are dealing with. Then, moving fast, IBC, somebody proposed that we should even have one person. The reason why we had 7 or this odd number is because of the mistrust that we have, thinking that if you put them 5, 7, 9, then they will reach a time that they don't agree and they can vote. Look at how we argue. So thinking that giving them numbers will give a credibility of the commission. Again, that's wrong. So our problem is the trust deficit that we have and has been orchestrated by the politicians, and IBC is subservient to the executive or to the politicians. So any outcome of the IEBC must serve first the interest of the participants, that is the politicians. And that's why it takes them to constitute the IEBC at any given time. So that is again, we have, so the best way forward, because I like giving solutions first, for us to have trust in this body. Let us elect people, because I believe we can change this thing through the parliament. Elect people, go to parliament, and once they are in parliament, they are supposed to come with solutions. How do we get our election credible? That is the only way, because there is no any other way we can get IEBC. We must get people of integrity in the parliament, and after that, we can now move to any institution, because that is one of the institutions that has the enormous powers to change a country. The moment we can't get it right in the parliament, which will be again be a subservient to the executive, that's where we are. So let us get it through the parliament. We get people in the parliament, and once these people are in the parliament, because a lot of things are passed in the parliament, the executive has no power except approved by the parliament. So our problem lies with the legislative, not any other arm of government, because once that is done, in many institutions or jurisdictions that we want to say, like in the Canada, the US, it is because of the parliament. Look, in the North Korea, the president declared martial law. Parliamentarians moved quickly to impeach the president. Look at that. So we have to look at this institution called parliament, because that is where we will get our savior from. Otherwise, if we are going outside parliament, because anything we are going to do, it will end up in parliament, because any law must pass through the parliament. So that parliament, we must clean up that parliament, because that is what is going to save Kenya. So the starting point is the parliament. Anything starts with the parliament and ends up with parliament if you want to get things done. Hilary, thank you.
Uh, thank you so much, Academia, for that. And I like the way forward that you're given, and the reason why they give even the number of the seven or the odd number always to the IBC, because the mistrust. But how can we finish this mistrust? As Kenyans people, can we also participate on what is going on and the current leadership hear our voice, or we're just waiting for them to do all this thing to us? Yes, Joe Angeshi, Joe Wagashiku. I'm sorry to call you Joe Angeshi, man. Wagashiku, good evening, good morning. How are you doing?
Hi,
Hi,
Hilary.
how are you doing today?
I think kuna kademu kanaitwa Wangeshi unapenda.
Bwana
Oh.
Wangeshi labda.
Yeah. I want to continue from where Academy has left about the high deficit of trust that Kenya is a country, and as Kenyans we have a really high deficit of trust. In fact, it's bigger than the Rift Valley that cuts across Kenya. We don't trust our leadership, and it stems from integrity. If you want the strength of, when I say strength, I mean nguvu mingi, the strengths of our institutions. If you want our institutions to be functional and to be useful to us, we as individuals, we need to look inside and look at at ourselves and our personal integrity. We need to look at ourselves in retrospect, and are we people who are above reproach? What do we do when someone else is not looking? Why should a constituency of 700 voters um, request more than 1,000 ballots? I know 300 ballots are not going to be spoiled. We as the individual, we as the voters of Kenya, we need to inculcate personal integrity in everything that we do. And until we do that, even if we get a digital a digital way of manning our elections like the way that we do, there will always be someone who is smarter than the other, and there will always be someone who's going to cheat the system, and we will not get the results of our working democracy. Right now, we've seen how our democracy has been undermined. The elite of Kenya, they know that the importance of IEBC, of having that independent electoral body working and full time, not just working 2 years before the election. It is supposed to be working full time. If it works one third of the time, it is not serving us as a wananchi, because there are so many MPs we really wanted to impeach, but we didn't have a functional IEBC because they intentionally made sure that they fired the commissioners. So we need to make sure that the powers that those commissioners, that we put it in our constitution that the executive has no powers or no influence when it comes to picking the commissioners of that independent electoral body. We need to make sure that that has been taken away from the executive. Right now, we have a powerful executive that has captured parliament, and a captured parliament, like the previous speaker said, it is one of the most dangerous things to have in a democracy, because they will just pass any law that they want without even involving the people. Right now, we do have our constitution requires public participation, but what do they do when it comes to public participation? When it comes to those important bills that Wanjiko is supposed to, contribute their opinion. They take the money allocated for public for participation, and then they disregard every opinion that the public has. And as I said, it starts with the individual. If if you as an individual, you make sure that you are a person of high level of integrity. That means you will vote for a candidate who is of high level of integrity. We will not have those guys like the ones we are seeing being interviewed, people with cases. There is that lady who used to work for the JSC that has a case of smuggling gold together with her son. Other guys, they have cases in court. They have issues with Chapter 6 of our Constitution. In a country of 55 million, do we lack seven people who are above reproach? These are some of the questions that I've been asking myself the past, 1 week. Are these the best that we have? Why do we have to have Mr. Nyachae's son out there? What has he done? What is his track record? Um, what about the other guy, the guy with the disability? Why are they highlighting his disability instead of highlighting his high level track record of high integrity? Those are some of the issues that we should be asking. And as individuals, if we elect guys who are above reproach, we will start seeing results. If you make the election at the constituency level, if you make those numbers work, if we make sure that every constituency, that every election, that the numbers put out there are real numbers, not made up numbers, then we will have a chance at a real democracy. Until then, we will still continue having this fake knockoff type of democracy that we have right now. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Hilary.
you so much Jo, umesema unipatia usichana kutoka Murima, but ni sawa, nashukuru bwana. Sasa thank you for your sentiments and also the way forward that you're giving that we should take as Kenyans. And I like your mind of telling us that the things that should be done. And actually, that's why we're here. We don't want to be a space that will be ranting, but we want to give a report every week what have we done going forward. Because without doing that, these people will just control us until I don't know when. We'll die when crying and everything. And now we need to change the situation because we are the people who are voting for them. We can decide not to go and vote. And we can call people not to vote. They vote with their own family, and that one we take action on the time. And when we are not voting, what is the next step? Because we cannot have these things just there. We just have these bodies all the time. They're using the public money, which is our money. They are being paid. These commissions, even the panel that is going on now, they are being paid our money. Our taxes are paying them, but they cannot do the work that we want them to do. then it is unnecessary to even have all these things if they cannot work for the people. But what are the actions should we take? What are the steps that should we take to reach there? That we don't want all these things to happen again as Kenyans. Masimba, uh, uh, good morning, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Happy to see you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be part of this wonderful group of people educating each other. And at the same time, I'm learning a lot of things here. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, bro. I was still committed a little bit, but at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same time,
I can say something
yeah,
actually.
go ahead, go ahead.
What I can say is I've listened to credible talk. Uh, the speakers who have just given their variable opinion and takes, and I think I'm in a position where I'm agreeing with all of them. There is one speaker who talked about the systems. Uh, when you have, let me say this, we are talking about the principled framework and mechanism. Principles may appear to be something that we are looking to have, but to me, when it comes to practicing those principles, that's where I see a lot of compromises. We have a principled a constitution. When we had it in 2010, people were talking about this is the best progressive constitution. 15 years down the line, ile swali unajiuliza, hii constitution imesaidia? No, on paper the constitution is really good, but when it comes to practicing that constitution, imekuwa ni shida. It has been really bad. Now we have been having this fora talking about how we can have a good governance, how we can have things working, how do we. Sometimes it gets to the point whereby we keep on repeating the same thing, but when it comes to the action, doing it, it's there is no political goodwill. Any given country that yearns to progress, there is a lot of examples of countries who have made huge progress. You will find one common denominator is the political goodwill. Now, to the case of Kenya, I do believe, this is my personal belief, this is my personal opinion. Sometimes opinion is very cheap, everybody has one. I do believe that external meddling to our country has been the problem. Look at the position, geopolitical position of our country, more so what is happening in East and Central Africa. When you look at the DRC, these globalists, they have said the DRC will never have peace as long as there is minerals there. The position of north side of our country, that is Somalia and Sudan. How do I say so? Because I'm convinced 2007, America said Kenya will never ban, never. And the Condoleezza Rice at that time was a Secretary of State, came to Kenya and told them, you guys, listen and listen good. We are going to tell you what to do. Kofi Annan came and there was an handshake there. Kenya, they will never allow Kenya to go bad, but they will always allow Kenya to have bad leaders, because the leaders who can be compromised. No matter how we say today that we are convinced perceptionally that we'll be having good electoral body, I'm telling you, as long as these politicians are there who are compromised, who are being told that we can give you privileges, handouts, nowadays actually being in politics is like starting a multi-billion company, because I see politicians who are billionaires who have billions, but they are not billionaires. Billionaires are the industrialists who are, you can track back and say this guy has a company, this company is doing very well. How come you hear a CS who is being vetted. 4 years down the line, he had a net worth of around 100 million. Now he has 500. And when you track back, he doesn't have a company. He doesn't have any investment which can bring that money. And if that investment brings in 4 years, that's around 300 million. What kind of profit is that? So I know in politics, that is where you make money. In campaign, people are spending a lot of money. Being an MP, you have to spend around maybe 60 million easy. How do you get that money back? In government, that's where the money is, so the money is concentrated on one side, and that's why the Gen Z are always crying. These young people, they don't have access to equal opportunity, that is employment. And if they don't have employment, I'm telling you, these are ticking time bomb. And even outside, they don't know, they don't even understand what to do. And that's why you see now, I get worried when the security apparatus, they are meddling into politics. You heard what these two gentlemen say, gave a warning. Why should they meddle into politics? That tells you there's something that we don't know. I don't know personally, but I get worried. Why is it happening? Probably, and somehow, when you look to other countries, like I was following what is happening in Canada, actually in 3 months, in 3 weeks' time, there will be an election. Nobody is talking about the electoral body. Nobody knows whether it exists. And actually, when you look at the issues discussed in the campaign, actually yesterday, the people were saying if any of these three candidates, they are not talking about Trump issue, we are not going to listen. But in Kenya, we are just talking about one issue: employment. Can you make our country to be attractive attractive for investors so that they can create employment, they can promote local labor, they can be able to promote communities. When communities, they are engaged in their work, they're doing something, nobody cares about politics, honestly. But the progressive societies whereby things are working, when you hear issues deciding elections, there are smaller issues like abortion. Here in Canada, people want the people vying for position talk about Trump. They're not talking about, nobody wants to hear about economy. Economy is at least working, right? But they know that if somebody talks about the Trump, at least we'll have a strong economy. And other places like in the US, we had an election last week. It was about immigration. But what about our country? Our country have never, I'm telling you guys, my friends, brothers, and sisters, my patriots, I've never seen the hard working people like people of Kenya. This, I'm telling you guys, you work very hard, very, very hard. But what do you get? Unapata ile inaitwa middle finger. From who? The politician. They don't care. Because the politician, kuna kitu moja inasema kama if leader is frying, the followers will be running after the leader. If the leader is running, the followers will be walking. If the leader is sleeping, the followers will be dead. You find that we have an emotional political class. Emotional. Every choices that they make, it's emotional choices. That's where we are right now. You cannot even understand how to rectify this. I don't know whether we have to go to Burkina Faso way, the Sahel region, whereby they overthrew the government. You don't know exactly what to do. The democratic processes, sometimes they get meddled from outside interests to the point where you don't know exactly what is happening. And actually, if the outside decides Raila Odinga is not going to be the president, he's not going to be the president. If they decide Ruto remains the president, he is going to remain the president, actually. And sometimes we may not even have an answer to this. But one thing that I will tell you, the Gen Z are doing a tremendous job. And I'm not a Gen Z, actually, I'm a Generation X. I wish we can join them and be persistent. Something will happen. But talking about the electoral body as we are discussing today, I stand and I do believe systems, integrity behind systems. It doesn't matter who's coming there. systems which is checking the political class, checking the functions and the practicality of these electoral bodies, systems which is really making even judicially do their work, and also system which put the normal wananchi into accountability. How, what is my role? And that's what I can be able to say, gentlemen. Thank you, Irali, and may we pray that God will bless our country. Thank
Uh,
you.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you so much, Simba, for that. And you bring a perspective that it really enlightened us. Are these people getting to the office? It is just being a politician is now more than even a businessman, because they go there, they declare their wealth, but within 2 years, it is triple. It is more than 100% uh, double. And now uh, you're saying that what the agencies do, or what we are trying to do, the conversation that is going on is very important for us to look the way forward and the action that we need to take. And Kenya, you have said the Westerners get influence. They make sure that we have the incompetent leaders to lead us and to govern this. And I think this is now what you need to do. We need a mass action. We just don't want to go to voting, and then coming out from the voting, you're waiting to get um, a good results according to your expectations. But what you're seeing is now you are being an homeless at the end of the day. It doesn't make sense, Kenyans. It doesn't make sense. We after election, then we be homeless because people are running Elter. There's nothing proper. War, the tribalism is too much. You are living. People are losing a lot of things. So is so unfortunate. And these people are being paid, and then you'll hear international communities coming in saying, oh, let us have conversation and everything, handshake is going on. These people are living their life. We remain the same people. Now people doesn't have job. How many comrades that doesn't have job? A lot of them, but they work hard, they perform so well so that they can live a good life. So that's why we are here, Kenyans. Those who are joining, thank you so much for joining again. As Pressure Point team, we are looking a way forward. What can we do moving forward, and steps of actions as you give your ideas of this reconstituting of the IBC that's going on at the moment in our country. Yeah, I see. Juliet, welcome so much on board. Nyamu, go ahead. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Hilary. I'm doing fine.
Yes, sir.
Mm, my take on this issue is I think the problem we have as a country, currently, we don't have a leader leading this country. What we have is politicians. If you look back, Uhuru Kenyatta was a leader and a very poor politician. On the side of politics, he was a poor person. But when it comes to leadership, he was at some point, at some extent, a good leader. You see, that's why we have Express Highway, SGR, and so on that we can mention. He did 1, 2, 3. You go back to Mwai Kibaki, he did a good job. We have the Marua Road, that was his work, taken by Uhuru Kenyatta to the point it is today. So what I think is currently we don't have a leader. What we have is a politician who in anything, when we talk about Shah, he has something to say. When we talk about anything in this country that is wrong, he has a way of taking opportunity. I think he's an opportunist. He answers anything, everything. He doesn't accept he's wrong at any point. All he knows is that he's right in the morning, he's right in the evening, and he's always right. If you look at him, he takes fight with anybody in the political class who tries to do something that does not please him. He feel like he's offended with something, and then you are kicked out of that government, of this government. Currently, we have had I think almost 3 reshuffles. and that is the issue with this country. We are reshuffling PSs, CSs. Who are these people that we are leaving to do that work? Who are those people who understands how the systems work, how that ministry is working? So that's why I'm saying this guy is a politician, and that's why you have all these problems that are following us. The other thing is that he uses our emotions. So, for example, he went to a school in Nairobi, and Sakaja, the governor of Nairobi, asked for something like talked about the chapati thing. This guy is an opportunist. He took that to please the pupils, and then he was like, "We are going to bring a, a, a machine that can make 1,000,000 chapati." You see, this guy is a politician, not a leader. There's no single thing that William Ruto has done to show that he is a leader. Sorry, in this country. The other issue is the issue of IEBC, and I think currently these people we have already, Akina Marijan and some those kind of people. I think they are under William Ruto currently. You saw them, despite Rigathi being tribal and all things that he did. The IBC cleared Kindiki, and I watched them on Citizen TV the other day, and these guys were like, they don't know what they are doing. They know that thing is unconstitutional. There was no, there was no enough commissioners to clear Kidiki. And then these people were like, yeah, he must be, we cleared him, but they don't know why. So I don't think there will be any change because William Ruto in this government is making sure they control everything in this country.
As you learn,
Uh,
Nyamo. So, what is the way forward? What is the way forward? Yeah, I know we
the
don't
way
have a
forward,
leader and everything. Yeah, and the steps of
I'm
action.
coming there.
What action can we
I'm
take?
coming there.
Yeah.
I'm coming there. So what I'm saying is, currently he is trying to control the judiciary through the removal of Mother Kome. The other thing he is trying to do, he has already taken parliament and the executive. So what can we do to this about the IBC? First is we need a stable judiciary by avoiding the removal of Mother Kome at any point, or that is the Supreme Court bench. It should be there the way it is until the election is done. Otherwise, doing away with any of the Supreme Court judge is giving William Ruto a chance to have his own people in the judiciary, because that's what he was trying to do. That is one. The second thing is our voice matters. At any point, we should correct this government at any point. So when you say Ruto must go and people mean it, then you should continue without fear. For those who support William Ruto, they should still talk without fear until the voting is done, so that we can save this country from anything. At the same time, we need leadership. We need people who can come up, take positions, and be in this government, be in the next government as young people who maybe think they are good, they are not corrupt, and who feels that they need to lead this country in the right direction. That's my take. Thank you very much.
Nyamu, you're done.
Yes, I'm done.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So your point is that we take the young people to come on board and see how this thing can be done. Now we need orientation, how we can orient these people, and they now need not to fear the system or anything, but they need to come across and do that. Okay, thank you so much, Steve Omenya. I see you, man. How are you doing? How are you today?
Hello. Thanks everyone. I'm fine. I'm fine, Hillary. Thanks for hosting us again today. I've just come on in the last 20 minutes, and it's interesting what I'm hearing from the different speakers who have come in. This issue of the electoral commission and the way it's being constituted at the moment, everyone can smell rat. It looks like there is the agenda is already gone. The fact that Raila, who's the main who has been the main operator in this issue, and Ruto are now on the same side, and pretty much they're the ones who did a lot in terms of constituting the committee that is doing the vetting, speaks volume. And you can hear the likes of Kalonzo Musyoka started raising the red flag, saying that this looks like something that's going to produce an electoral commission that is going to be just at the whims of Raila and Ruto for 2027. And so we are going to have a very biased referee as the process is going right now. So here we have a situation whereby we have an electoral commission that is almost time barred. We know that we only have about 2.5 years to the next election, and already it's running late in terms of boundaries review and other things that they need to do. Having a new register, cleaning up the register and everything. Registering voters. There's a lot to be done. And here we are. We have that time pressure, but at the same time, we can see clearly that the commission that is being constituted is not going to serve wananchi properly, and we've not had a fair electoral commission maybe since we changed the constitution. Literally, we've had elections that are disputed in 2013, in 2017, and in 2022. So that's how we find ourselves in this situation, and it's really hard to see how we can best work this out, given the time pressure. If there was time, then we could have said, no, let us start the process again. Let us maybe go back to the last time we had a fair election. That was 2002, when we had an IPPG agreement where the political players came together around in a round table. And I think Kanu had like 11, the opposition had like 10. And we had a very good election, partly because as well, that election in 2002 was a time Kenyans came together in a big way and voted against a regime that was oppressive. So, in my opinion, I can see the only option we have is really to put pressure and to make sure that we are vigilant, we are alert, we are, putting this commission that is coming in, vetting everything they do, whether it's when they're going for procurement process, when they are going for voter registration, we make sure it's being done fairly, not lopsided, favoring maybe Northeastern to the expense of the other regions that are, perceived to be opposition strongholds. So we really have to be vigilant at every step of the way to make sure that we are checking the referee, because clearly the referee is going to be biased from what we've seen or from how we perceive the process going. In terms of what else we can do to prepare for 2027 as a movement, I think, as someone already said, we need to make it easier for new candidates, especially young people who don't have money, and even older people who've got a good track record, a solid track record, who fit Chapter 6 of the Constitution, who people can vouch for. Maybe someone has been a leader in the SACCO movement, local SACCO movement, maybe has been a chairman of the local Matatu SACCO. Anybody who has been a leader and who's got a track record to show that they've actually performed and they've not been involved in embezzlement, in theft, in all this graft that is bedeviling our nation. We should make it easy for those people to get into politics. Some of them think, do we even have money to print a poster? What if we decided today that we start a movement where we are helping credible people print posters for their campaigns in 2027, and people start contributing? I could say I'm maybe putting in 2,000 shillings every month towards that. Someone else does the same. And in 2027, we tell young people, whoever comes to who wants to become from MCA to senator to MP to women rep to governor to president, whoever who wants to put their name forward, we tell them, look, in terms of posters, hiyo usijali, we have taken care of it. Wewe enda tafuta njia ya kusafirisha throughout the constituency or throughout the county and campaign, lakini posters zako, we'll print them and they'll be good quality posters. Do you know that alone will help a lot of people to come out and put their name forward, especially people who think, sina pesa. Mtu anasema, at least kama niko na posters everywhere in the constituency, then I can actually, yani kukimbia around, kutembea na kuambia watu about myself, hii itanishinda kweli. So we need to do tangible things like that can actually help promote our candidate, because I can see a lot of focus and energy going towards presidency, which is good because we know that the presidency is pretty much what sets the tone for everyone else. It's like dereva ukipatia, hata kama ni gari mpya upatie dereva mbaya, anaweza haribu hiyo clutch, haribu gearbox, akirudishia gari yako inaenda kama mkebe, hata kama ilikuwa Volvo mpya. So the president really matters in terms of this electoral process. But at the same time, let's say we have a president like maybe Umtata or Maraga, the SI unit of president right now in terms of credibility and good record in Kenya. But they end up having a parliament full of crooks. MPs, maybe when wamekuja with these other parties, they will impeach the guy. They'll impeach the guy within 1 week, and then we'll end up in square one. So we need to put our energy throughout all the levels of governance, all the way to the presidency. We need to have leaders, Pachini, my MCA, my MP, so that these guys come to parliament. And then when we work together like this, we can also get a president who's credible, and then we'll have a truly proper change that we're seeking for. So yeah, those are the kind of things that I'd like to see as being really tangible things that can help move the needle and can bring good, credible candidates out with confidence that they have support from a movement like this one. Thank you so much. Thanks, Hilary. And
Thank you so much, Steve. Actually, you bring it home. You're saying that let us look, even somebody has been in a circle and has been working so well. It's not a must that we go with big names, but somebody has been even border chairperson down
exactly,
there. It can be a good leader.
it's
And these
about
people
track
maybe,
record.
yeah, and maybe they fear that they don't have money. We can print them posters as pressure point team. We can print them poster, for example, or we can approach other organization to print the poster, people to organize. We can even contribute $1 every month. In those months coming, this person has posters, he has vehicles that can go around and everything. Thank you so much, Steve, man. I think that is a great idea, and those are the things that we need to, as much as we're looking for the presidency, but also we need to look at the leaders that are coming in, because when we have fake MPs like the one that we have, they are being given 10,000 Kenya shillings to sell Kenyans. It is so unfortunate, man. I think we need to look at this thing wholesomely, because you have said so well that we have seen two leaders are coming together. The handshake has already happened. It means that these people now, they are on the same board. So they are IBC that we want maybe not work for us. Thank you so much, Steve, man. I really appreciate that. And we are taking action on the same. And we usually encourage people as pressure point, as lead, as young people, as Gen Z, don't run away from the leadership. Go and take this leadership. Go for it. And the support that you need is just posters going around the constituency, the ward, the county. That one, Kenyans will see the work that you're doing and they will support. They will support. Thank you so much for that. Yes, Milton, I see you. You've been having challenges with the mic. Now I don't know whether you can speak or I give Juliet, then Maura, then you.
I can go after those two.
Oh, okay. Then Juliet, how are you doing?
Greetings, Hillary and Pressure Point. Habari
Greetings.
zenu? Yes.
Tuko salama.
Niko salama kabisa. Great to be here as usual and listening to other speakers. And I'm absolutely happy to hear what angle they're coming from. But with me today, I just want to bring in the following points. Ama niseme hivi. I want to start off by what we have right now and remind everyone the mandate that is given to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, which states that it is responsible for conducting or supervising referendum and elections to any elective body or office established by the Constitution and any other elections as prescribed by the Acts of Parliament, and in particular for 1, the continuous registrations of voters and revision of the voters' roll. 2, the delimitation of constituency and wards. 3, the regulations of political parties process. 4, the settlement of electoral disputes. 5, the registration of candidates for elections. Another one is voters' education. Another one is the facilitation of the observation, monitoring, and evaluation of election. And the last 3 is the regulation of money spent by a candidate or party in respect of any elections. The other one is the development of a code of conduct of candidates and parties. And the final one is the monitoring of compliance with legislation. on nomination of the candidates by party. And listening to everyone here today, I'm particularly interested with the monitoring of compliance with legislation. The one I'm interested with is the development of code and conduct of candidates and parties. I'm very much interested with that right now. I'm also very much interested with the registration of candidates for elections, and I will give you my reasons why. And then the other one is which one was that one? The facilitation and observation, monitoring, and evaluation of elections. I'm particularly interested with those three sectors. And because of the conversation happening today, but really and truly everything that they are mandated to do is excellent. So my issues with those three things that I have picked is, number one, let's take what we have right now, because one of the things we know is the controversy with the last returning officer who has recently passed on. So we Kenyans understand the issues that have happened, as I think someone mentioned in the last few elections, and we see that time and time again. So my question, and I will never stop asking questions, is why is it that we know that there has been controversy with some returning officer who has been in charge for all those years, and then we still return them? And I feel that Kenyans have failed. The constitution in itself fails us for the fact that we're able to put someone back who has already failed us. And that is why I keep asking, supposing you find that that person has failed us time and time again, where does the court system stand with that person? And I pose that question because I care about Kenyans, and I care about Kenya as just Kenya tu kawaida, because I feel that if we are not caring enough and we are able not to follow our own constitution, because you've got to remember that especially the last constitution, there's so many good things that have happened, but you can constantly see there's amendment after amendment. And in fact, within those amendments are Kenyans being involved. And I want to argue that in some cases, Kenyans are not being involved. Then that's my personal view, and I can explain why to Hillary another time. So I'm posing a question here today. What are the constitutional changes that I would love to see? And there's three things in particular that I would want to see. Number one, assuming any of you wants to stand today in the presidential candidate today, let's say Mrs. Blogs or Master Blogs wants to come and stand in as a presidential candidate, are you able to compete with the current known people whose name have constantly reappeared in our constitution? And again, I want an honest answer. And where the issue is here is, how do you get fairness to any Kenyan that wants to go to the top position? So that's question number one. And how do you make sure that any Kenyan that wants to stand, so that Kenyans can have great choices in the election and be able to stand properly, are given a fair chance to be put in that ballot paper? That is a great question to pose, not just for Kenyans, but also to our constitution, but also to our judges. And that needs to make a mark in the history of Kenya. And I want to praise, despite the challenges we have faced, the last elections, where we saw many independent candidates coming forward, and also other candidates come forward. And it is the first elections in the history of Kenya. I want to remind a pressure point here today that many candidates came forward, but sadly, I want to argue that the constitution in itself let them down. And why was that? And I want to give you the answers here today with about 1 minute, because there is nowhere, or I want to say, in my own personal view, is, are the commissioners that we elect able to challenge a situation whereby they're supposed to agree something with the chair? So look at it kiafrika way. Mtu amewekwa hapo ni chair, ati chair akisema ni mwisho. Na the commissioners are supposed to actually be observing, like be discussing a situation. within the things that I read earlier on. So how are those commissioners involved in every element of all those issues that they're supposed to be performing? Na kwa Mkenya, huyu ni chair, so chair ameongea, usimjibu. I beg your pardon. Why are you actually sitting in that chair? We as Kenyans really need to sit down and understand that some of them are really qualified, they are well qualified, but are they able to discharge their duties without fear? Are they able to discharge their duties without feeling that they are being put down by the chair and stuff like that? And I think the job of a chair or a good leader should be to address the issues that the commissioners are raising, and that is very important. And if you look at the IEBC Secretariat team, I mean, if you look at it, I've just looked at it a few hours ago, but I could see that the Secretariat team is so complex and it's unbelievable. I can't believe that we have a commissioner's executive, we have 2 deputy commissioner society, we have 9 directors, 24 managers, 47 county election managers, 290 constituency election coordinators. You can imagine that kind of complexity within a system that is within the IEBC. And I feel that it needs to be made simpler. It needs to be, Kenyans needs to understand. Now, the last point before I pen off is the issues where candidates need support. If you decided to stand in the highest seat in public, I feel that there needs to be equal, a better fairness. And I will never stop raising my voice in terms of that. And also good security for those oncoming candidates that are coming, because without good security, of course, you've got no good competitors within changing the system that we have. So we continuously have the same leaders that we see here today. So the question is, are Kenyans, and is this new, the people who've just recently gone for these posts that has just been advertised recently, we look forward to seeing who is being elected, but what is going to be changing? And 2 things I want changed. One of them is when they put up wakisema wamegazette presidential candidate, iwe hapo ndio mwanzo wa kuanza kushindana. Why am I saying this? Because in the last elections we saw that there needs to be another piece of paper that is given to candidates. What does that bring about? It brings about corruption. What does corruption do to our nation? Corruption kills humanity. It kills and destroys a whole nation. So for me, wacha niwachie hapo. So that's the first thing that needs to be changed before we even think about anything. A fair justice system for any candidate that is going to stand. Number 2, the other thing that needs to be changed is, how are you going to make sure that candidates have come forward without being afraid? Is again, sasa leo anapeana certificate, si yule mwingine anapewa certificate leo na yule mwingine anapewa kesho kutwa na huyo mwingine sijui anapewa siku ngapi. In other words, kila siku come back to IEBC, and there's all kind of foolishness that goes in behind the scene. I feel that's really an unfair system, both to the candidates, both to the political parties that are coming up, both to the independent candidates. So those are things that we need to look at, code of conduct, and what should happen to these people who are breaking the laws, because these are incoming IEBC. How should the court deal with them if they break the law? Because they're not just breaking the law, but they are breaking the constitution of Kenya. How should the judges, and who should be responsible for those people? And again, I pause there and say, pressure point, hapo tuko pamoja. We need to have standards for our judges, and we need the right judges who can deal with people who are breaking the law, and especially when it comes to matters of elections. That is absolutely critical. All candidates must be given equal opportunity and equal accessibility. Not just opportunity at unaenda kusimama, but equal accessibility. How many bloggers, when a blogger is, umekimbia huku na umefungwa na umeblokiwa, because that is the time that you can earn. What is happening in our constitution? Are all the the vehicles, whether it is Nation, whether it is whatever, are they giving equal candidates voice, so that Kenyans wajue hao ndio watu wale wanasimama, Wakenya wamepatiwa kweli hiyo choices? So I leave it there, guys, and back to you, Hillary.
Thank you so much, Juliet. You mentioned a lot of things, but there's 3 things that you mentioned that a code of conduct. That is the corruption that is going on, and giving every Kenyan an equal opportunity, not others being treated as special than other people. So that's why we are talking about this body, because I think is this body will be clearing those who are be coming in and everything. They're saying that you're not qualified and everything, but we need people that will be here that will be fair to everybody, not treating other people like they don't. Yeah, I can remember in the last election there were so many presidential candidates, but some were denied. Uh, I think you were one of them. I don't know whether you were in the in the ballot, but we saw so many things happening. Many people were not allowed to go ahead with their ambitions, and that is so unfair. And thank you so much for giving us way forward that we need to do, and we are working on that as pressure point team. And thank you so much. And I know we're on board. We'll consult more, and that's why we're doing all these consultations. So when we start working tomorrow until 6 days, then 7 day we come here to give the report what you're doing and everything. That's good, Juliet. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and also your conversation or your sentiments and your contribution to our platform all the time.
Hillary, you just asked me a question, and I tell you what, yes, I did stand. I was actually the only woman in that candidates. There were 18 candidates actually. I was one of the candidates, hence what I have reported back to you here today. And I can tell you, in the Constitution of Kenya here today, it says any political party should meet a third gender role. Can I tell you here today that actually even the presence of the known political parties, they didn't meet that. They did not meet the third gender rule. What went wrong? If I was to ask the question, I brought this matter to court on behalf of all Kenyans. I can tell you that. And I can tell you that it is not what guys say. And that is where I ask the questions. I have every right as a candidate that stood in the last election to ask the right question, to be fair to all Kenyans. And I can tell you that, yes, I made it to the last leg. But when it came to putting the ballot papers in the last, you saw that on the Friday, was it a Friday, I believe? They went in number one, number two. We were actually put down in alphabetical order. And you know, many of you Kenyans don't know. Sasa ile ilifika jina yangu nilirukwa. Now my question is, how can a returning officer anaruka jina na already imegazetiwa? Do you know what was very interesting? It was so interesting to me that that can happen, and even the people or observers don't question. Now, if I pose the question here to you today, why will those people not ask questions? And it is the fear. The fear is real. So I am happy to have this conversation another time at Pressure Point if you
Sure.
want it. But I'll leave it there. Yeah.
Thank you, Juliet. We're gonna do that. We're gonna call all the actually the past. I'm talking to them. We'll call all of you. You tell us the challenge that you face. Most of the people who are denied ticket, and then we'll have also the people who are given the ticket. And going forward, we see the pressure point, and then we see what is wrong and what is happening. So thank you so much again for that.
Thank you.
Pombekali, then Maura, then Dr. Milton, in that order, maybe 3 to 4 minutes each. Pombekali.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Hillary and the members of the Pressure Point. I have 3 quick points to put across. One, there is one question that we must ask ourselves, like, do we really need a good governance, or we are fighting for our people to be at the helm of the governance? Are we honestly fighting for the good governance? Because one, I must say that we are not honest people. We are not honest citizens. Yet we want to say we want to fight for honest government. That won't work, and it will not work. We must work on ourselves as citizens, and we must be honest about ourselves before we start yearning for that good governance, because good governance starts with honesty. And how Chapter 6 of the Constitution shall guide us. Just some few minutes ago, one of our friends just said about the bad presidents we have had, and he just put Ruto as the worst ever president and very bad president. And he went back and said Uhuru was a good president, a good leader, and Kibaki was a good president, good leader. I don't think he is honest about this because first, Kibaki messed our constitution, the system. Kibaki set the precedence of electoral fraud. And with the NAC era, we stood a better chance of ensuring that we had that good governance and free and fair elections. What Kibaki did, everyone here knows. So we can't say that Kibaki was a good president. He was a worst president and he set this problem. When Uhuru came in, Uhuru inherited this. And in the height of the Uhuru reign, that's when we experienced the highest corruption in Kenya. This corruption we are talking about was set up by Uhuru government, and Uhuru oversaw it happening. Then you come here, you tell us Uhuru was a good leader, good president. That's bullcrap. We must be honest. And we must say things that we have had bad leaders. Because even if you see the constitution, the people in the current government, 90 to 98% of them were in the previous governments. So we cannot say that they were in that good government, then now they are in bad government and bad things are happening. No, we can't behave that way. We cannot fight as a Kenyan. Ruto must go as Kenyans, yet we are still throwing the tribal cards when we converse or when we faced with some issues as citizens. Good governance comes with honesty and oneness, togetherness as a people of Kenya, not a people of regions, the regionals, the communities. When we come with that card, we can't just waste our time talking and speaking. Labuto must go. How is it making sense to you or to me? So let us be honest. Let us work towards what we believe, and we must be part of the solution as youths, as young people. Are you participating towards ensuring you are in the leadership, government, and all that? Right now, the Iebc is being formed. How many youths are being interviewed? How many youths applied for the positions? How many youths qualified? And how are the Gen Zs prepared? How are they gonna get in the next leadership? What are we doing? How are we mentoring our young people, our young brothers and sisters? And how are we making them realizing that this is their government and they are the government and they need to be part of that government and part of the solution? Once we answer all these questions, we shall have an honest opinion and an honest solution to this government we are facing. But if we still want to go back and forth like, Rigati, Uhuru, Ruto, Raila, we are failing together as a people of Kenya, and we will feel the heat of this for the next very many years until your daughters and sons and your granddaughters will also feel it. So it is high time we be honest, we pull down the issue of tribal line and all that, then we work together as people of Kenya, as citizens, and as electorates, and we bring in good leadership in Kenya. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for reminding us that let us be honest in our talk and also in our actions. And what is wrong is wrong. We cannot be covering what was happened that it was right, but it was not right. So I think that's where we need to go. And Steve said it before that it is high time for us to look the leaders, those who are coming in. Actually, the current president was saying that yeye alikuwa mtoto wa kuku, alikuwa alisha kuku. Ni ukweli ama ni uongo? So ukiona hivyo mtu anakudanganya kuanza mwanzo mpaka mwisho, you can't expect a good thing coming out of it. And that's what Steve was saying. Tuende tuangalia hata wale viongozi wamekuwa wale kwa soko. kama mtu amekuwa ameongoza soko ikakuwa safi na vitu zikakuwa hivyo, that guy can be a good governor. So but that can happen, Pombekali, with what you're saying, that when we be honest ourselves is very key and is very important, and that's a way forward, and those are the steps we need to take. First, let us be honest in action and what we're saying. Maura, I want to give you time, and then Dr. Milton,
Okay.
he has been waiting. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Hilary. And you haven't been sending me notification for this thing. I've missed it. I've been busy. So please, starting from next week, be sending me the
You are
notification.
busy. You are busy, but now we're here, bro. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Let me start by saying this. I want to look Kenya the way turnaround experts look at the companies. That you see, if your company is struggling, doing bad, you bring it turnaround expert, then they write some recommendation for you what needs to be done. Now, and number two, why are we here as a country? Why is Kenya the way it is? The reason as to why Kenya is where it is today is because since independence, tangu mkoloni mweupe aondoke, wale walioingia madarakani, they became black colonial masters. Nobody who has ever sat in that house, in State House, as the President of the Republic of Kenya, has had a good heart for the people of the Republic of Kenya. The people who had held the title of the President of the Republic of Kenya have only occupied those positions. Number one, to root the resources of the country. Number two, to enrich their community. And number three, to have tribalism and such. Second, from Kenyatta one, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, he rooted that and everything. From there, Moi took over. Moi rooted the country dry. Our economy went completely back. Our country went bankrupt for 24 good years. Then there came a ray of hope in 2002. And this is where we were supposed to make things right as Kenyans. The NAG came together, the Odinga, the Kibaki, and the others, they came together, and together Kenya spoke with one voice. And that was the opportunity that Kibaki had, number one, to finish tribalism and to put Kenya in the right trajectory for its growth and everything. What happened? Little did we Kenyans, right, think Kenya knew that Kibaki is no different from Kenyatta. People praise Kibaki for building Adika Superhighway, but how many of you know that under Kibaki's watch, one of the largest corruption cases, went under his watch? That's number one. Number two, we are where we are today as a country because of what Kibaki did. When Kibaki, when in 2002, when I came to power, we had two main things to do. And that could have made our country prosperous. And today we could be respecting even democracy and such. And we could be very far today as a country. We were number one to remove Kanu from power. And number two, we have a new constitution. What happened? Kibaki and his multi-Kenya mafia said no. The problem was not the constitution. Remember Kina John Michuki, the Jenga Karume? Remember those people? They said no, the problem was not the constitution. Shida haikuwa katiba, shida ilikuwa ni Moi. And that is why that's the departure with them with Honorable Raila Odinga. And that's when multi-Kenya people, Kibaki, Kinamada Karua, they came with the Wako draft. I don't know how many remember that. The one that people were against it, and Odinga led a campaign, and that one was defeated. Kibaki was defeated. That was 2005. From there now, going ahead, we came to 2007. You see, so number one, Kibaki broke that promise of giving Kenya a good constitution, because what happened with the Wako draft ilikuwa ni katiba kama ile ilikuwa tu ya zamani, ilikuwa tumewekwa tu miaka kidogo kidogo. So when we come to 2007, Kibaki was already defeated by Odinga, and this is where now, and that one gave birth to what is to the ICC cases. People have to be held accountable. And now come to 2013. When we came to 2013, against in a total violation of the constitution, the Kenya judiciary, William Mutoga, allowed ICC suspects to run for office. And that's why now we are where we are. There is no president who has been as corrupt in Kenya's history like Uhuru Kenyatta. You remember, no president ever bought 2 billion shares and stole it. So somebody here to say that Kibaki was good, I don't know where that person is or where he got that history. Somebody to praise Uhuru here, and from 2013 to 2017, we have never seen such corruption. Standard gauge railway, that was nothing but mere corruption. Billions and billions were rooted there. We don't even know what was the argument that was given. That the we will never pay itself back. You name it. The World Bank had decided that we remember the old railway before we could become rich as a country to build SDR. Nothing like that was happening. Why? Because Uhuru and his colonies were only interested in stealing the money. So Uhuru was neither a leader, he was neither a politician, he was just a drunkard man in State House. And you remember what happened in 2017? We did it with the killing of Chris Musando, who want to give us a verifiable elections. You know, they assassinated him. You see now, and that now Uhuru couldn't rule because he had lost direction. That's when they came to the handshake with Odiga, and maybe things cooled down and we came together. But again, as a country, the temperature in the country was somehow cool. Although I myself, I fully oppose that shake. And it was as a result of the handshake now, that Mother Koome, the current CJ, was put in office. How many of you followed the process of recruiting Mother Koome? You see, now everybody that during the handshake of Odiga and Uhuru, everybody was living in fear. Nobody could disagree with what Uhuru was saying. You see, so Mother Koome, this issue is just about suitability. The issue is about he was the wrong candidate to be there. He was put there by Uhuru. And that's why I myself, I support his Alcita from there. I don't support the Alcita of the others. I support the Alcita of him, of this Mother Koome, because she was put there by Uhuru. When I also make Katiba vile nasema how we choose a CJ, and you see how Mother Koome was put in office. You understand my point? So Uhuru was one of the worst again. Now Ruto came now. See, Ruto, the one of the person who violated the constitution, Uhuru, and one of the person who was used by Uhuru to violate the constitution was none other than Aden Duale, who was the leader of majority, and now he has been appointed minister for health. You see how they violated the constitution. In fact, particularly with the stealing of the the 2 billion euro board. Before the Constitution, Article 2, I think it was 2.3 or 2.8 there, it said that all money should come in the consolidated fund. But you see, with the Duale, because they wanted to the 2 billion euro board, they amended the constitution and to allow them that money can be used in other places, and that they amended the constitution without us going to the referendum. So please, let's be honest. The way Pobekara said, let's be honest here. We have never had somebody sitting in the State House as the president of Kenya who had the interest of Kenyans at heart. No, it's just a question of enriching themselves. They are tribal colonies, tribalism, and that. You understand me? So what's the way forward now?
Yes.
We should organize. For IBC, everything has been done. The thing has been done. This is a gone deal. Ruto already has his people in the IBC. So maybe we protest or such kind of things. Otherwise for IBC, Ruto tayari amepanga watu wake na watu kumambo itaenda vile anataka. So unless maybe we organize ourselves, we see what can be done. I completely see no way out to the IBC. Ruto has his people, and you know how important this body is. And again, I don't know how genuine we are, because if we want to defeat an enemy, first of all, you must know what kind of an enemy are you facing. Ruto is somebody who has not only resources, pesa kwake ni magunia, he also has the intelligence, and intelligence is key in winning any battle. You see, he has the intelligence, he can pragmatic people. How many people can refuse 20 million if Ruto offers you 20 million? You are on the forefront of reading this demonstration or whatever, take this 20 million and just go away. How many Kenyans can turn down that? You see, so we have to know the kind of enemy we are facing. He has all the intelligence, he has all the money. So how do we confront him? This is a question that we should ask ourselves. Let me stop there, Henry. But Ruto is somebody who we need a very straight strategy to deal with him. This is a very dangerous man. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you for the history. And you said that the guy we're dealing with is not easy the way we think, because if it is money, and how many people can stand? And that's why we need the integrity on these things. How many Kenya can stand not to take the money? Because we are seeing even the church is now becoming now the most worst organization around, that they just take the money. So where will we run to? It is us by us. And what is the way forward? What are the action steps that we need to take? Dr. Milton, go ahead. You've been waiting for a while. Thank you so much. Um,
Not a problem at all. I think first of all, as always, I want to pay tribute to the fallen comrades who have paid the ultimate price since we started all this. And I think, like we have always said, the tree of liberty will be watered by the blood of patriots. and martyrs who pay the ultimate price, like we have seen since this regime came into power. Finally, the chicken are coming home to roost in terms of what I have been saying. To be the reason why it is urgent business for the country to deal with William Ruto decisively, because he represents everything that Kenyans are against. And the IEBC, the way it has been constituted, the selection panel, can already tell you that William Ruto knows that if he goes into election, the outcome is only one. And so he has started the process of rigging that election now. And that is, if you look at the charade, first of all, who are those individuals? And I thought I called on Kenyans to be vigilant when dealing with William Ruto. He buys time so that he can manage you people. He buys time so that he can know what your right price would be, because he believes that everybody has a price. And I like what Pombekali was just saying. He says that you know, William Ruto is a very dangerous person. He's a dangerous politician. He's a monster. He knows. So everything you do, he's calculating. He's saying, okay. So when we were talking about IEBC, they quickly constituted the selection panel, and our focus was distracted from looking at who those individuals constituting the selection panel are. And I want to take us all back. Look at them. I don't want to cast aspersions or make any imputations about anybody's character here, but who are those individuals? I don't want to mention their names. I'm challenging Kenyans to go and look at them. And then you add 1 + 1 to how they have conducted the interviews, the way they have asked the questions they have asked during those interviews will not bring anything. You cannot expect an IEBC that is going to be independent minded, an IEBC that will stand its mettle and say, William Ruto, Mr. President, whoever it is, this is what we are talking about. So ultimately, Kenyans, I want to agree with the person who spoke immediately before me that what we need to do is to be clever in how we want to deal with William Ruto. Because let me tell you, right now, what you have seen over the past week with the Chief of Defense Forces coming out to speak, Nurdin Haji coming out to speak, it is basically a process. We are being managed. And remember what I said the other time when they said they are introducing this new law that will be seeking to punish people who stop or interfere with the peaceful transfer of power. And I told you guys, it was a setup. They are preparing the country for the things they want to do in 2027 or any other time. Because the question you ask yourself is, why would the CDF come out? And this is the first time we've had the CDF coming out to speak on a political issue in the manner, in the tone and language and diction that General Kahariri was speaking. And that is why you must ask yourself, they are preparing the country, because who told them that any Kenyan out here was asking to overthrow the government? We are simply saying that we want, because you cannot come and tell Kenyans that they are committing crimes or violating the constitution when William Ruto himself is the biggest violator of the constitution and public policy that has its life emanating directly from the constitution. So let me get back to the IBC so that I don't get distracted a little bit. What we are seeing is that this is a charade. William Ruto and Raila Odinga have decided what they want with this IEBC. They want to manipulate the process and they want to walk Raila, because William Ruto, again, understands who Raila is. He was his student. He supported him. The reason why Ruto went to the ICC was because of fighting for Raila. And so when you bear that in mind, that will tell you he knows what he's doing. He is managing the politics right now. And he's a master manager of politics. So that by the time we are getting to 2027, what we are getting is a situation that is politically managed and everything will be fluid. And then the blackmail against the Gen Zs and Kenyans who will come out to say this election has been manipulated. The results that have been announced do not represent the will of the people. That is not how we voted. That is when William Ruto will unleash this military on the people, because he has already demonstrated that he has the military by his side. That is why they are being told, you're being told as Kenyans that you elected this government. So we are not going to help you to remove it because you elected them by saying must go. And if Kenyans don't stop this, what is going to happen is that William Ruto is going to instigate, and mark my words, Kenyans must be able to stop this charade of the IEBC selection panel. We are not in a hurry. We should never be in a hurry to say bora IEBC. Tunataka process ambayo itatupatia an IEBC, men and women of integrity. And I want to correct the notion that people out here will not stand or will not say no to 20 million shillings. I want to tell you this, that there are men and women in that country who will still stand and say no to 20 million shillings. They will say no to 100 million shillings. They will say no to a billion, because they know that doing the right thing is rewarding. What I will call upon Kenyans is that we have an opportunity to forestall the tragedy that is going to befall us. Because what the CDF was telling us is that if we do things and later we change our mind, they want to confine us to the philosophy of fools, because it is only fools who don't change their minds. So when Kenyans are now saying we were deceived into electing this person, whether they won or not is a different story altogether. But what the CDF is saying is that we are doomed to the philosophy of fools if we do something today and tomorrow we change our mind, because it is wisdom to change your mind when you realize that what you're doing is not the right thing. So that is what we must read from what has happened this past week, so that we stop this charade of a selection process for IEBC commissioners, because uko mbele itaturamba, and they will use it against us, because they will say, you guys allowed, you pushed us to appoint this IEBC, and now you're complaining we are not going to allow it. You made your bed, you have to lay on it. Kenyans must be wiser than being confined and set up for failure in the name of that philosophy of doom. So whatever is going with IEBC, in a nutshell, the long and short of what I have spoken for the last 9 minutes is to say this: it is all monkey business. It is a validation process that Kenyans are being blackmailed into, and we must stop it, because the law and the constitution does provide with clarity, crystal clarity, how we are supposed to manage those processes. And the way this is going is not one of them. And we must stop it, and stop it now. And it is urgent business that we do so. I remind you as I land that power belongs to the people. Article 1 of the Constitution. Not even the CDF can tell the Kenyan people what they are going to do when they feel that those in office, those they delegated their power to, are not exercising it according to the aspirations of the people. The people, by dint of Article 1 of the Constitution, have the power, and they can decide to withdraw that power and assign it and appropriate it how best they want. Otherwise, whatever is going on in the country right now is a charade, is a sham, is conmanship that must be stopped. Because if we don't, then we are doomed. We must refuse to be bungled into this idea of sanitizing a process that is strangling the Kenyan people. I land Kenyans, let us do this for the sake of our country and for the sake of the future generations that will one day look behind and ask, who are these who came before us and what did they do when injustice visited and was visited and meted out on our country? Thank you, Hillary. Thank you, fellow Kenyans. Let's continue to speak. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Milton, and being the pressure point team to make sure that what we are talking about here, we implement them at the same time. And thank you so much, Kenyans. What comes out very clearly that we are just seeing all the all the monkey business around. They're just jumping and playing with our mind. And it is high time for us, Kenya. Steve Biko, you've been here for a while before Chacha. Then Western, then I see Redemptor is also here in that order. Yes, Steve Biko. I saw you on up sometimes. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Good evening and good morning.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever you are. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Mine is short, very, very short. First of all, what I can tell all Kenyans is that we must love our country. Everyone must love the country. Don't love the politician, don't love whatever, but love your country. Once you love your country, you'll make a very nice decision. That is one. Two, about the IBC. You know, those people who are in panel are Kenyans. Everybody is Kenyans. Where do you want to get others? You must trust them. The only thing Kenyans need to do about the election, because Kenyans can decide, not IBC that can decide. Kenyans can decide. We can decide that this election is going to be free and fair, not the IBC. We Kenyans, must come out and say that this election, whoever you put there, even if you want to put your brother or your mother, even if you want to put anybody you want to put there, this election must be free and fair. That is for Kenyans. Whoever they put in IBC, even if they want to put anybody, Kenyans are the ones to decide if election will be free and fair, not the IBC. IBC are just human beings like you. They are just people. They can, these elections, we have history. Some of people have died because of this election. Some have been killed, which we still don't know what happened until now. So it's for Kenyans to decide. Do you want a free and fair elections or not? I hear someone talking about external interference. Who's bringing this external interference? It's us Kenyans. Because after election, you will see Kenyans and the media houses waiting for the opinion of those external people. Or AU, what we want to hear what AU thinks about the Kenyan election. Was it free and fair? Or we want to see observers. When you give them that power, that if the observers have said that the election was free and fair, and it becomes a breaking news, are we stopping the external interference? No, because we are giving them power. After our election, we want their opinion. We want them to tell us what they think, as if we don't know what we have done, as if we don't know if the election was free and fair. We need external forces to tell us. So we are the one bringing them.
Yes, Steve.
We are the one bringing
I,
them.
I hear what you're saying. Oh, I don't cut you. You'll finish your point. But now, what you talked about loving Kenya? What does it entail? Number one. Number two, what are the action points? Any speaker that's coming in, let us have a way forward, the steps, the action steps, and also the moving forward. What can we do? We are here. We are more than almost 200 people. What can we do? Steve, go ahead. You finish your point. I didn't cut you, but you talked about loving Kenya. What does it entail? And also, what are the action steps or the moving forward? What can we do? Go ahead.
What I say about loving Kenya is that you must love your country, whether you are in a losing position or winning position. Just love your country. Love your country. And what I say, the action point is Kenyans must come out. Kenyans, all of us, come and say, whoever you put there, we don't care. These elections, we will make sure it will be free and fair. That's the action. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You said that these people must love their country. We must love our country, and that's the way forward. Yes, Chacha, as you come in, we are seeing what is happening, and we know. Actually, it is like Kenyans. We know what is happening. We just know. So, what are the action steps? And moving forward, what action should we take? Go ahead, Chacha.
Thank you very much. Appreciated. The gentleman who spoke before, the guy who's just left the stage, mentioned the name, and the name was the former IBC, I think he was the head of IT, who was killed. And the speaker just said we need to love the country. Of course, we have no option. When it comes to your country, you will never find another home. You might go there as a surgeon, as a visitor, but you will not feel at home. Sorry. You will not feel at home. Sorry. No, so let me go to the bedroom. So let me say this. When Msando was killed, there was not as much outrage out here. He stood for something. If it were a candidate who had been killed, it would have been something different. So he paid the price, but he forgot about it. I think when it comes to corruption and morality, this issue, this problem runs deep in our society. I'll give you an example. So often do we see a lorry that has overturned with mizigo yenye inaelekea barabara being delivered somewhere, and the driver is injured, but people in their hundreds, they do not want to save the life of that driver. They want to cut away with some of the goods. Not once, not twice. This has been happening in this country, and we think it's okay. So why am I saying this? I think it's a reflection of the people. The leadership we have is a reflection of the majority of the people, especially given that integrity has not been rewarded, at least not in this country, as long as I can remember. So we have an issue there. You go to high schools, a principal. Hello.
We can hear each other.
Yes, a principal is arrested for having aided exam cheating. Imagine a principal of a school aiding exam cheating, including providing answers. And you expect that person tomorrow to serve with the EAC and have integrity. I have friends who are officers, people who I know in my circle, and they tell me, without mentioning a particular region, where during KCPE, police officers are paid to write essays for primary school kids during KCPE rather. They're paid. Actually, per essay, it's 1,000, I think. So it depends on your speed. That's how low we've gone as a society. So I think it's beyond. So I think for the political class and especially the ruling elite, it's the peak of everything. But we have a very serious breakdown in terms of our moral fabric as a country. I come from Migori, so it did happen one day. I was going to Mwanza in Tanzania, and I saw a truck that had a lot of fish from Musoma had actually ilikuwa imeanguka barabarani. And the people waited until help came to rescue that particular person, and they didn't even steal, not even a single fish. If that were to happen somewhere around where I come from in Migori, it would be something different. So we can keep on pointing fingers at politicians, and rightly so, but the problem is bigger than we actually want to make it look. Given that we have sort of been rewarding those who are corrupt. Whether we have resigned entirely or we have internalized this as who we are, it's a different debate. Maybe psychologists need to study this and maybe tell us what's happening. Nonetheless, we must demand the highest level of integrity and leadership in the government and in the country. But having said that, I'm very skeptical on the integrity of the electoral process that is to come in 2027, especially when I look at the people who have applied and being shortlisted as a potential chairpersons, chairman or chairwoman, whichever way you look at it. Because one, they deny. In Kenya, you deny. Even if I caught you, there is that song, Johnny Johnny eating sugar. Even when you have the crystals around your mouth, Kenyans will always say it wasn't me or I wasn't there. So if you look at the people, the caliber of people who applied for these positions and those who have been shortlisted, they're there to protect certain interests. And I doubt those interests are the interests of Wanjikus. I listened to Beatrice Elachi during the requiem mass of his son. May God rest his soul in peace. And he said, politicians, we have to love each other. We don't have any other friends. So it means there is a cabal of politicians now going forward, given that there is a lot of heat coming, especially on the social media platform, towards their behavior. And it seems like people from different quarters across the country are celebrating when they are going through some very traumatic experiences. They will coalesce together, or likely to coalesce together, much to the detriment of the people. And that's my biggest fear. But I hope we've learned now, especially on the voter side, that we have a duty to vote, and not vote because of the 500 shillings, the 200 shillings that has been placed in your hands, but because we know this is our future and our children's future. So in terms of integrity, we have a long way to go. I think our education system, those who have done education before, the education has 3 domains. There is what we call the affective domain, the cognitive domain, and of course there is another one I can't really remember. The psychomotor, yes. Psychomotor is how you learn and how to use your hands, basically. Cognitive, you learn theories, principles, you just learn that, and how to apply that knowledge. But affective, you learn values. You are a doctor, you are a pharmacist, you know this can kill. Why are you not giving it to somebody? Now, the affective domain in our curriculum has been forgotten. We are sort of churning out people who we are not really impacting on how they conduct themselves outside school. All we care about is, can they deliver the job? So we really need to look at the social fabric of this country, the moral fabric of this country, and entrench it in our social, in our education system. If need be, we also need to start. Not need to be. We also need to start rewarding integrity, because what we've seen, people who have tried to act and perform their duties with integrity have found themselves in a very difficult position. A case in point, I think it was Patrice Lumumba, when he was at the helm of EAC. The then MP for Unyenjes, and now the governor for Embu, really fought that gentleman, and he had to leave that particular docket. So I think also as a people, we have a duty, a moral duty, to also defend those who actually fight and perform their duties with integrity. Otherwise, if we keep on allowing now these other marauding, corrupted leaders to get away with the day, at the end of the day, we might not be able to get really good dividends. Thank you very much, and I learned.
Thank you so much, Chacha, for the reminding us that. But all the speakers were coming in. What are the steps, actions should we take as Kenyans? Because all these things happening. What are the steps? And this one is going to help us to make our conversation be a meaningful going forward, because we're seeing all these things happening. And Milton said it. We were coming here all the time and complaining that we don't have ABC and everything. Now they've agreed. Even the people that we didn't want, now we are seeing it there. And Milton said something, that look at the character of these people that we are now seeing is being listed to take all these things. Do we follow them? Do we know them better? And if we know them, do you think that any change is going to come around it? So that I think, Western, you've been waiting before redemptor, then Fabish.
Hillary, thank you. Greetings to everyone. Hillary, I think we sometimes behave like Thomas in the Bible. We want to touch the scars to believe. Because IEBC is an extension of the state. It's not different from the state. And they can't fool you by including the word independent. It's not. In fact, in societies where trust is so high, elections can be conducted by a ministry or even the office of the president or prime minister can conduct elections. And if the prime minister is unpopular, we'll lose elections and we'll concede defeat. But in our case, as it's been said again and again, we think that the law can cure moral infractions. The law cannot cure moral infractions. It can't. You can come up with as many laws as you want, but as long as many people in a society are hell-bent on doing wrong, they'll continue doing it. Look, our memories tend to be short. If you look, Kofi Annan's National Dialogue and Reconciliation, there was the Agenda 4, which was about long-term reform, institutional, constitutional reform, land reform, addressing inequalities in Kenya, youth unemployment, transitional justice, things to do with historical injustices, land reform, TJRC, a report that was submitted to Uhuru Kenyatta and he put it in abeyance. He didn't implement it. He didn't even publish it. So what will is this that we want to reinvent? It's like we're talking about things we've never talked about before. And we have shelved them. Once the political elite share power, you get this position, you get that position, they proceed. At the next election, they remember, okay, there's some unfinished business. There's nothing new under the sun as far as our society is concerned. The problem is that we have got rogue characters in power who have completely no incentive to right the wrongs that have put Kenyans in this problem of poverty, of extrajudicial executions, of ethnicity, name it. They have no incentive. Why? Because there's political and economic patches in the chaos that is taking place in the country. So tell the political elite, go back. Kofi Annan is dead. He left you with a report. What were you supposed to do as far as Agenda 4 is concerned? Go back. Kibaki died. He did not implement the Dungu land report on illegal and irregular acquisition of land in Kenya from 63 until at the time the report was submitted. You can extend to date. Implement that report. It's there. There's no will to reinvent in this country. There isn't. What we have is amnesia and political correctness and revisionism. Mwaura, keep it up. Keep it up. There's a lot of revisionism in the country. I do agree with you fully that Kibaki is contributory to the mess we are in now as a country. Because he didn't break ranks with the Moi legacy. Instead, he continued. If you're so good, you're such a good president, as some Kenyans want us to believe, why would you be succeeded by somebody like Uhuru Kenyatta? Why would you be succeeded by somebody like that? Which makes it possible for somebody like William Ruto to ascend to power. Because once you're a deputy president, you're just a heartbeat away from the presidency. You could be a president any day. So why are we surprised? And we want to, absolve the original sin as to why we are what we are. Look, Hillary, I think there's this word integrity that keeps on popping up. Yes, it's important because we're bereft of integrity, both at the generality of the populace and the political elite. And that's why when somebody says Kenyans have got the leaders they deserve, that's factually correct. factually correct. Because why would somebody have issues with William Ruto, for instance, and tell you that the alternative is Fred Matiang'i, or the alternative is Jimmy Wanjigi, or the alternative is Martha Karua or Rigathi? Now that person is part of the problem. He's no better than this political elite who we're complaining about every now and then. He's not. He's very cynical. He doesn't have a problem with corruption. He has a problem with who is perpetrating the corruption. He has no problem with the extrajudicial executions. He has a problem with who is killing Kenyans. Can you get it? He doesn't have a problem with ethnicity. He has a problem with who is presiding over ethnicity. Can you get it? How different is that person from William Ruto or Uhuru Kenyatta or Mwai Kibaki? So we have to begin from ourselves. And Hillary, I think we're losing it. Chacha talked about Elachi.
Yes, Western. I know. That's why we are saying that moving forward.
National dialogue. Hillary, national dialogue.
Okay.
We need national dialogue. Just an honest national dialogue. Don't quote the Constitution, because they don't adhere to the Constitution. So it doesn't matter how many times you quote it. It doesn't matter how many times you invoke chapter 6 on integrity. They have no room for integrity. They're not going to listen to you. We need a national dialogue. National dialogue means honesty, means integrity. You don't come there to protect your parochial interests. You don't come there to represent an ethnic group or a region. You come there to talk about Kenya. Kenya that you wish to bequeath to posterity. That's what we need. National dialogue. And it needs a lot of honesty from the religious fraternity.
How can we shift this? How can we initiate this? Say that we now 200 people here. This national dialogue. Go ahead, Western.
Yes, we can initiate. People can petition. People, because the supreme power lies with the people of Kenya. So if we say we don't think elections are going to resolve our issues, in fact, they will exacerbate them. We just want to begin afresh. All these reports by all sorts of commissions that are lying in abeyance, we want these reports to be implemented. People have stolen from Kenyans, for instance. You see, in Kenya, it's difficult to talk about equality because there are historical injustices. People have stolen from others. We can give you amnesty as a country. We will give you amnesty. Please return to the people of Kenya what you have stolen within this period. If you don't, whoever Kenyans will put in power has got their full mandate to come after you, irrespective of your status in life, irrespective of your ethnicity. No one will rally behind you. We have to make that commitment as a country. So that if people come after William Ruto, Kalenjins will not rise up in the streets. If people come after Uhuru Kenyatta, Kikuyus will not rise up in the streets. Raila Odinga, name it, to begin this country afresh. But this parochialism I'm seeing, okay, we can have elections and replace William Ruto with somebody like William Ruto. I think we're just as cynical as they are. And I wanted to land on this note, Hillary, just to prove a point that when politicians consistently behave immorally, they do damage to the society. The Beatrice Elachi tragedy, that death, if you have noticed, the society, the Kenyan society is increasingly becoming desensitized from tragedy, from death, that people can celebrate when somebody dies. Let me put it to you. In fact, even in war, barbarism is not allowed. And that's why if you desecrate dead soldiers and if you kill people wantonly, you're going to be held to account, even as a soldier. The sanctity of human life. If you desecrate tombs, you're going to be held accountable for that, because no civilized society casualizes death. But if you look, we're actually casualizing death. Casualizing death, that people can celebrate when somebody dies. That shows that we're losing empathy. And when you lose empathy, actually you're degenerating to a level that is worse than that of beasts. Because it's empathy that makes us human. That you can feel the pain of the other person, even if that pain is not affecting you directly, but you put yourself in the shoes of that other person. Secondly, what makes us civilized, Hillary, is that even when you wrong me, Even when you wrong me, I still must affirm your humanity and insist that I'm not going to wish you that worst treatment that you subjected to me. I won't. Because if you're barbaric, but treating other human beings barbarically, those human beings must remind you about your barbarism by reminding you how civilized human beings behave. So we have got barbaric politicians, and unfortunately, they're infecting the rest of the society with their barbarism. We lose our sense of humanity. We become desensitized to other people's pain and death. Now, that is a spiral to the bottomless pit, and it must be arrested very fast. If not, don't be surprised if we wake up there's genocide in Kenya, because you must lose the sanctity of humanity. Now, when a society loses that, then you can trivialize human life, and we can easily degenerate to the level Rwanda was in 94. I'm telling you, it's very scary and it's worrisome. I learned, Hillary.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much for that, Weston. What you're also saying that we need national dialogue, and that's the way to go. Redemptor, pick it up from there, where Weston, then Povekali, you can lead a little bit.
Thank you very much, Hillary. I hope you're all well. And thank you to the Wazalendos who commit their time to the conversation. I think this is a national dialogue, only that one group is speaking to one another, and then another group is speaking to one another, but people are speaking. To the IBC conversation, before I skip and go off key, I think we don't have faith in ourselves in the sense that by the time someone is agreeing to take a job at IBC, they know it's a suicidal mission. They know their lives will never be the same again. That no matter what they do, Kenyans have zero trust in the institution. People who are conscientious have no age, they have no class, they have no background. So sometimes I think we demonize professionals who've had jobs in some of these places, and they can never be good people because they associated one time they were in this faction, the other time they were in this faction. And these are some people who've worked very hard to be in those positions, and they have mastered the art of going for interviews. Maybe they are connected, maybe when they show up at interviews because they are familiar, apart from the monkey business that goes on. That one, the monkey business goes on. Because I want to believe in Kenya, there are people who are conscientious, they have a sense of right and wrong, and they want to do the right thing. Sometimes they get overpowered by the other group. They get outnumbered. They cannot change the system changes them. So I would wish that maybe I'm an idealist. I do believe whatever is meant for good can turn out for evil, can turn out for good, that you can actually appoint somebody. Maybe I'm a storyteller who is got a terminal illness and decides, you know what, before I die, I'll do the right thing. You never know. That one I'm leaving it there. That the people's will, people's determinations, people's resilience, the people's anger, frustration does not have a class. There are civil servants who are as frustrated as people who are speaking on social media, but by virtue of their jobs, they cannot speak. Why do we keep having exposés? Why do we know the money that has been taken from this pocket to this pocket? It's because there are civil servants who keep whistleblowing. Maybe they don't do it enough times. And I think the best place, one of the takeaways for me is that we have to start whistleblowing on our own so that we cure ourselves of tribalism. And that's where Mwaura was saying, just because you voted for Kibaki or you voted for Uhuru, or you liked Uhuru because it reminded you of Kenyatta, the first Kenyatta, like my mother, you have to be the one who says, you know what, this system has been like this, but we are living with a generation that sees. This generation sees. It does not mean they do the right thing. It doesn't mean they are right. Doesn't mean, but they see. And when they see, they speak. For example, they will sing a song, Sikuchuki na Kudharau. Now, when you come and keep saying, do you love your country? I really wanted the person who, I think it was Steve Biko, when he was asked, what does loving your country entail? He didn't answer. And I really wanted to hear the answer because this is a point that is being pushed a lot lately. It's been said by these state security agents that how much do you hate your country? Now, the generational difference is, if it was me speaking to them, I'll say, no, I don't hate you. I don't hate my country, I hate you. That's what a younger person would say. But because we are in another generation of being politically correct, I'll say, no, it's not that I hate my country, I hate corruption. And you can see what I've posted. But the truth is, some people, when they say love the country, they are saying love me, love us, love the elitists, love the rich kids, because we've been rich all our lives. Our fathers were PCs, ministers, whatever, and they were loved by the people. So how dare you not love us? Because they actually been in the system for 30 years, 40 years, all their lives they were born rich. Even this your great man, the Raila Odinga. His father was a prime minister. So he was also always loved because at that time we idolized those offices. So when some of these people say love your country, Steve Biko, they're not saying love your country, because loving your country is doing what we are doing today. It means we stopped everything we were going and we started speaking truth to power. Stop killing our young people. That is what loving our country entails. So the ruling class have made Kenya their business and they are Kenya. So when they say you people are not patriotic enough because you don't love your country, they think they are Kenya. They actually believe they are Kenya. They actually believe Kenya is theirs. And the only sign of showing you love your country is to agree with them, to praise them. And I'll say one of the action plans we have to go for. I'll give an example of Kisii, for example. We have great men who've come from that land. And today we hear them saying they do not want Maraga presidency because it's not good for their community. Who told them the president is for their community? We are trying to get out of this and you're taking us right back there. So if you come from that community, an actionable plan is to have an engagement with the people from Kisii and say, if you give us Maraga and you give us Matiang'i, sorry, I'm not going to call them their big titles for now because of time. Please, it is the Kenyans who decide of these two who represent the values they are fighting for, or who are they running away from? Who reminds them of where we've come from? Extrajudicial killings, standing for the truth, saying you've never taken a bribe and actually behaving in a way that we can believe you, unlike the other guy with red bottom shoes. It's not about your tribe. It's just a privilege that you bore as a son who is good enough to be a president. So an actionable thing is we go back to these tribal cocoons where we are being dragged back to. And we know the ones who feel more entitled than others. Right now, because you have these great names coming from you come now. No, it's us to decide which of our sons we are giving. No, 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 no. It is the Kenyans to decide which of your sons we like. And we have reasons to like. So that's an actionable thing. And very quickly, I want to just do my final submission and say this because my area is communication and narratives. And I've already said, anybody who's coming and saying, love your country, you're saying, some of you mean love your country, please pacify, please don't criticize, please don't remind us that people got killed in June. Please, let's do what we used to do. People get killed and no, how come all of a sudden you're talking about deaths and 2023 people died? That's loving your country. That we keep covering up, accepting and moving on. Is that loving your country? So I do believe that a conscientious nation can arise from 3 people out of a million. Just 3. 3 people who decide to do the right thing and do it consistently. And that's why I commend Hillary, because you've done this show when you have 80,000 people. You've done it, I think you got to a million, and you've done it when you have 50 people. Because it means you've decided to be a platform, a baraza. This is a baraza. Those of us who can't go to Bunge la Mwananchi every other day, we come here and we speak our mind. So let me tell you a final submission. What I hear people saying, people do not trust nature. And nature is that when there's going to be a flood, like we saw, is it Bangkok, is it Thailand? We're seeing funny things happening in a building, that is supposed to be very sound. People do not trust that when this flood comes, there's no gate that you put in that dam that will hold the flood. And so all these things that people are putting in place, a container full of money, having money 20 million per stopover when you're going to Murima, and people going to State House saying they're going for development, but what they're going for is handouts. And how do I know this? Is because Moi used to do it. And we know the other day, Amze said the presidency of Moi, because people are seeing, maybe his mind is twisted in that way. Maybe he really is a Kenyan who remembers how Moi used to operate. People used to go and give money, but take envelopes to some were bringing envelopes, others were taking envelopes. Now, remember, we would have famines, we would have national disasters in this country, and people will be told to go to State House and give money. So that is still happening when you're being told your pay slip is what is going to be used to build affordable housing. So people must trust. One, we have to trust ourselves that we never saw the young people going to the streets in the numbers they did. If it happened before, it can happen again. Probably the people in power have said over my dead body, it will never happen again. But dead body is guaranteed because of mortality. We are all going to die. So you can swear all you want, you can put all your apparatus in place, but the law of nature demands that if change is here, there's nothing you can do to stop the change from coming. So that's why I say we should have more trust in that the nature when change has to happen. We speak about it, we say this is how we are going to do it, but the change will happen. And IEBC can actually deliver us an election. It did in 2002. And I do know more, except what you said, what happened with the Kivuitos and the rest. The other thing I want to talk about is the young people, and this one nimeweka kofia ya mwandishi na mtetezi, nizungumze kama mzazi niseme hivi. The young people of this country have some unfinished business with the politicians. And then they have refused to acknowledge that. And I speak this as a mzazi that when we offend our children, when we hurt our children, when we violate our children, unlike another generation where they used to carry their pain to the grave, this generation will take drugs. They will overcome and not take drugs and fight for their lives as if their lives depends on it, because it does. And they will tell you the truth. They will go kicking and screaming, telling you, you violated me, you hurt me. So the young people of this country have some unfinished business with these people. Speaking of us lacking our Utu, which I saw what I'll name the names. I feel unfortunate, sad actually, for the Honorable Beatrice. I've even called her Honorable because Naskia Oye, for losing her son. And I also feel sad for the son that his memory became a political thing. And maybe this is just again what we call karma, that you go to people's funeral to talk politics and what they end up doing. It ended up being more, she tried to talk about the hardships that parents are going through. I heard Herman Manyore also talk about the drugs and the problems of the youth and the danger the youth is. What I want to tell the older generation, because I had another Mweshimiwa in charge of internal security go to a place and say, youth on social media on drugs. Drugs have no class. Drugs are pain, are symptoms of pain. People who are trying to numb their pain. It starts out as a social event, social activity, entertainment. It becomes now dependency. And if the youth are using drugs and coming to social media, then it's youth from across the board. It's not youths that love or hate the government. And now you understand what I'm saying when I mean love and hate the government. The politicians continually refuse to read the mood of the country. When you talk about youth coming to social media because they're on drugs, you forget the government also uses social media. You forget Hillary and I are not the youth, but we are here, and Dr. Milton. Maybe these guys are younger than me, but you actually take a good thing like the social media and you make it the enemy. Because what is happening with our politicians, they are so used to having each other as the enemy. But now they have bonded, and I heard another MP saying, if we were as united as we are at this funeral, what he was saying is unity is them. It's not Kenyan. So they've united as politicians. And so now we've become the enemy because they have to have an enemy. And so I'll still send my condolences, and I'll say they lost their Utu first. It's not who did what first, who became desensitized first. And if you are a Christian, if you let these little ones stumble, I don't know, wale mnasoma Biblia, mwaora mtanimalizia, sijui mawe itafungwa kwa shingo yenu ndio mkue sank, msikaitokelezea tena. If you make these little ones stumble, that's what I'm saying. So the older generations have stumbled the younger generation. And so when you come here and now put us in a blanket that tumepoteza utu, who started the utulessness first? How do we have a dialogue with 1 million Odhiambo who says, let's talk, because what has become of us? And the way she's talking, she's saying, let's stop talking down on each other, but she's actually talking down. The person who saw sense in that conversation, and let's give, even if he's doing it from I don't know what intentions, was one Mr. Dimples, one governor of Nairobi, who said, when these people, it's not what you're seeing is not anger, what you're seeing is pain. And let's give him the credit where it's due. That's the state of the nation. People are hurting. but they refuse to believe. So they end up saying, you don't love your country. We are inviting anarchy. Anarchy is when there's no justice in the country. We are already there. It's only that now that the mali umetafuta, it's not been touched, you're still feeling it's safe. We talk down on them if we use security operators to befriend, because wanauma wakipuliza, they've come to show us, oh, we are not so harmful after all. Knowing the damage that was done last year, I think they would have done better in that public, was it a public lecture? They would have told us how to identify fake NIS, how the word NIS is used to terrorize us. I live in constant fear. Every meeting I go to, I start identifying who has been there, sent there to spy on us, and who's going to be responsible for me being abducted. That's what they should have addressed. This Ruto must go immediately. They touched it because they are not doing the research. The last thing I'll say is behavioral scientists have failed us in this country. We come here as media practitioners, as communicators, as activists, and we talk, but we never hear anything from the behavioral scientists, the psychologists, to tell us the psyche of the nation and the pulse of the nation when it comes to our mental wellness. What the behavioral scientists are very good at, the merchandise, the paid ones, they are the political, analytical things. I don't want to mention their name, who come and study us and listen to what they are saying, and then they go and tell the politician, this is where the danger is, improve on this one. The youth bulge is the danger. Then you go and tell the youth bulge you're on social media, you're stupid, you're on drugs. Then they don't listen to those people who give them advices about human behavior. So to all the people who are hurting in this country, Dr. Milton always starts by paying respect for the ones who shed their blood, but for the ones who are really also hurting and traumatized from all the events of last year and the state of the nation, economy, psychology, spiritual, I really do wish you healing. If this national dialogue is going to be sponsored by government, there will be no national dialogue. They'll just have meetings, very expensive meetings, and come and talk down on each other. So another actionable plan, Hillary, when we plan a national dialogue platform, just look for everyone who hosts space, anyone who is big on Facebook, on TikTok, and say, let's come together on such and such a day. We are going to have a national dialogue, and we'll talk about the pain that we are carrying, because there's a lot of pain. I agree. There's a lot of anger, but there's also determination. There's also the love for country that keeps us going. And there's also determination to make this country a better country. It's been fought for before, and maybe this is the best fight. We won't have the saviors who look like they're savers, but they have interests. Honestly, niliwaambia in terms of presidential candidate, msiekelee bet, but I like the names that keep coming up, and there's hope for this country. Hillary, I've overtalked and in this show, so maybe I've abused my privileges, but I had just to get that off my chest that the young people of this country, Kenya cares about you, because we are Kenya, even when we are here, when I host spaces and when Hillary hosts spaces, we are representation of, there are people willing to talk to us and to listen to us. So please ask for the mic and come to talk to us. Na msitumie ile lugha mbaya mbaya hiyo, tumechoka hata sisi. So we care about you, we care about the things that you're going through in terms of not having jobs, about your state of mental health, your social lives. We do care about it. And the only way to overcome all these social problems you have is to fix the politics of this country. Thank you very much.
All right. Very good. Pumbakali, go ahead. Go ahead. You can give a bish as you go ahead. Yes.
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Hilary. And thank you so much, Redemptor, for all that. That is very rich information that we really need at this time. Let's hear from Fabish. After Fabish, Biko is having the hands up. Biko, come after Fabish. Thank you.
Asante sana Hilary, asante co-host na kila mtu. First, I think I will start with the short prayer. In the name of the Father, the Holy Spirit, in the name of the Son, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, Ruto must go. You know, this, I think in this country, we have two sets of constitution. That is what I came to realize. Because anytime that we speak, we are reminded of a constitution. And the constitution that we are reminded differs a lot with the constitution that we know. The other day, we saw the CDF, Kariri, coming to tell us about the Ruto must go slogan and the constitution. And when he was expected by the said constitution to come out and defend the people, he was nowhere to be seen, he was nowhere to be heard. His mandate is to defend the territories, is to defend the people of Kenya, is to defend the sovereignty of our republic from both external and the internal aggression. When our youths were killed on the streets, felled by guns, he did not speak, he did not came to defend, he did not talk about the constitution. But now, when people are expressing themselves, actually empowered by the constitution, is now coming to lectures that it is against the constitution. We don't know the type of constitution they are reading and the one we are reading. Today, also the same people, CS of security, coming to tell us that by us talking online, we are either drunkards or under the influence of drugs. It did not stop there. And he said that freedom without control is not freedom. And you would wonder, how do you put freedom and control in one sentence? So I think they have their own different version of constitution that we are not aware of. And that's why I want to agree with Western that, when we talk about the constitution in this country, I think we have very different interpretation, or maybe there's another document that Kenyans are not aware of. However, what I think it will not work is what we call the national dialogue. The dialogue that we are talking about, I think we have done a lot of dialogue. Before Constitution 2010, there was a lot of dialogues. Bomas, there was dialogue. Kikambala Kule, there was another dialogue. I don't know where there was a dialogue. Recently, there was what we call national dialogue, led a broad-based government. What is always the outcome of the dialogue? They will say.
But Fabish, as you go ahead, I'm not cutting you short. But this one, were we involved? Were you, as a person, Fabish, all those dialogues that were going on? Were you part and parcel of it? And that's what we are talking about. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, when you talk of we being involved, first by we being involved, that is already put us outside of the decision of the dialogue, because we have to be involved by certain structures. So what do you think will create an impact? It is like now we are always told of public participation. What impact has that public participation, created? You go, you submit whatever you are submitting, but the decisions rest on the people, that they are the one, in charge. So when we talk, when you call us that let us come and have a dialogue, by the virtue that you are the one that is inviting us to the table of dialogue, you already have a upper hand. So now that is why I always said that this country, it is redeemable in all manner how we try to, turn upside down, because the only way is to level this country. Then now we start afresh. There is no one that have a upper hand of, that said, I'm the one that is calling you, come and sit with me. Because if Hillary today you call me, now you are in your space. You call us to have a dialogue. You have a upper hand. I talk something that you feel is not okay, you can vomit me out. You can mute me, or you can even drop me. That is exactly. You call me to State House, you call me to wherever you are calling me. You have a upper hand. I talk whatever is not pleasing you. You have that, latitude of either deleting whatever I'm bringing in, or you have a upper hand. So there's no way that you are going to dialogue with someone that is already holding a power. We need, when we are talking of dialogue, it should be from zero. Hillary as Hillary, Fabish as Fabish, not Hillary as host and Fabish as speaker. So when I'm talking, not Ruto as president and Fabish as ordinary citizen, and you are telling me that we hold a dialogue. If there will be meaningful dialogue, then we need to bring everything down. Then now we start a new dialogue as people in one level. But these other things, now there is an NATCO report. We are still saying that we are not involved. There were some people that they were called. We don't know the criteria, because You know, Hillary, there is no way we are going to sit down 50 million Kenyans and talk. We'll be told, choose people. Kina Hillary, tafuteni watu that will represent you. It is the same thing that happened in ARCO report. There are some people that they purport to represent us. They were sitting there. There was this guy ambaye alikuwa anaongea mambo ya May or shall. He purport to be representing people. So, and then they will justify themselves that you guys were represented. There were organizations. There were, civil rights groups. They were there. I don't know, there were religious leaders. You are represented. There were youth leaders. They came. We take the report. That's what they will tell you. You are represented. Because there is no way we will have 50 million Kenyans people. Where will we sit and have discussion? So, in all this discussion, you'll always be told that you are represented. What will be the final outcome? You'll be told that there is a document that is generated. What will be the purpose of that document? Because the document that we generated in 2010 is not functioning. And it was supposed to be a supreme one. So I don't know there is any dialogue that can generate a document more than that supreme document that we generated in 2010.
So
Now,
what are the steps? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Action
So
steps.
now, to me, like now, we are talking of election 2027, and we see people that they are presenting themselves, and we want to interrogate: are they really, the leaders that we hope? They are the opposite of this status quo. For example, me, I like calling them by names. You see somebody like Matiang'i. If Matiang'i and William Ruto, you compare them, William Ruto will be angel. I'll be, I can even gladly go to polling station 10 o'clock and even vote for William Ruto and get the votes. Now, come another Maraga, as old man, 74-year-old man. Before 2027, he'll be 77-year-old man. Now, if we are to take this country to the next level in terms of technology, in terms of what, will he be able to deliver? He was the president of one arm of the government. Now, when you check to
But Fabi, that's very true. That's very true. But the focus is not even the presidency so much, but this thing that is being going on is being elected now or being requested. We are basically on IBC. We don't want to talk to the president, and we don't want to endorse anybody in this platform.
So when we talk of the IBC, there is no, what is happening is exactly what we should expect. We cannot expect more than this, because the people and how the system is working, it is the same thing that I am saying here. They have the upper hand. Whatever you said, now they will tell you that, it was open, the application Kenyans applied, and this was they shortlisted. We follow the laws, we follow this one, and that is how it is. Now we are thinking, what will we do? Will we go to the court to stop them? If we stop them, do we have that laxity of time? Is election 2027 going to be held, or is going to be postponed because of time constraint? Are we ready to postpone the election so that we can have a dialogue and get the right, or should we stick to our timeline and just participate election in a rubber stamp authority? But one thing that I'm clear, election 2027, it is a makeup or breakup. There is no two way about it. Whether we have credible IBC or no, but Ruto must go. It is something that must happen. So it is a makeup or breakup. This country future will be determined in 2027, because by Kenyans saying Ruto must go is not just a mere slogan. So in whatever direction election will go in 2027, but still Kenyans will demand Ruto must go. So to me, I think it doesn't matter. Hata akiweka Charlene Ruto, hata akiweka Rachel Ruto, akuwe chairman wa IBC. I think Ruto must go is unstoppable, and it is a breakup or makeup in 2027. That is what I can say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Fabish. Let's hear from Steve Biko. Then after that, we have Mr. Daniel and Mr. Collins in that order. Thank you so much. Steve.
Thank you. I just came back again to clarify on something. When I said that we must love our country, what I meant was we must come out and call a spade, because we cannot wait anymore for someone to save us. Nobody will save us. We must love our country. What I mean is, the IBC, I don't think even Kenyans will trust IBC. What we should do is When the election comes, can we come all of us out and make sure that elections are free and fair? All of us. We must love our country, even if it's, they decide to do whatever, even if it's 3 days, 4 days. Just say me sitalala, sitafanya nini. I must make sure that this election must be free and fair. That's what I mean by loving your country. Those who died last year, they died because they love their country. They didn't just die like that. They died because they love their country. So that's what I mean. Let's stand out. Whatever happens, let's stand out and love our country. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much. We loving our country. Yes, we love our country, and that's why we are fighting for that good governance that we are looking for. Thank you so much. Let's hear from Mr. Daniel. Then we go to Mr. Collins. Mr. Daniel.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I may want to contribute on the IBC and the state of the nation. And one, for the IBC, I think, elections are done from the polling station. When the voters vote, and then the tallying is done, for me, what I can say, we must not really wait for the chairman to, I don't know where this issue of manipulation of that forms come from. When we have agents from the polling station who verifies when the tallying is done, for example, for the presidential forms, the 34A. So when the forms are being signed, like a certain candidate got these and the other got these, I really wonder why people can come out to complain about this, because if we have agents, every candidate, maybe presidential candidate, has got an agent on the polling station. I happened to conduct last election, and I felt like if these elections, I felt slightly this election, if there could be manipulation, then the manipulation could be from the polling station, not from the IEBC, from the chairman. If these forms are signed well, the agents look at what the candidates got, took the result. We even allowed people to take pictures of what was in the result or on that forms before we could, send to bombers. If these forms can be, the agents can gather all these forms. These people can be able to know, the candidates can be able to know the results even before they are delivered to bombers, and even the chairman, before the chairman can announce the results. So it's about vigilance. We should not just wait. For me, the chairman is just to validate these forms and then announces the results. It is very easy for us to know the results even before the chairman announces the result. If we can gather all the forms, we have agent from on every polling station, and then maybe the agents, we gather these forms from every polling station. We are able to know the result, the approximate. For the candidates, can be able to know the approximate votes before even the chairman announces. So it's all about vigilance. For the candidates, they need to be vigilant, deploy the very informed agents on the polling station, and then maybe they can be able to sample the forms and even do their additions, so that they can be able to know the approximate number of votes before even the chairman announces. So it's very easy to know these things, the work of the chairman. And then for verification purposes, if the chairman announces something that is different from what is on the forms, then someone is able to know and even go and petition about it. Even if we had this petition, the opposition, that is Raila Amolo Odinga and the team, the team on courts, could not really prove that the forms had some credit, were different from what were delivered to bombers. That was actually the thing that could even annul that election.
If there was no difference that the form I submitted from polling station A is not different from what I submitted to Bobas, then you cannot annul that election. So one is able to know the results even before the chairman announces. And then about the state of the nation is all about accountability. You know, we can't account for these leaders. These leaders, we need to account them right from the MCA to the president. Power belongs to the people, and if we are able to account these people, to know what they have done, you know what their budget is, what they are, we should really call these people for us to account to us, to tell us what they have done, what they want to do, what they are planning to do. That's when we are able to know the progress of this country. But as long as we are not going to put these people into account, you know, even the president, why can't we even account our the MCAs, what they are doing? Maybe every year we call them, we try to even inquire on what they have done for that financial year, what was they given, how much they were they given, how they have distributed the money, what they have done, what is in progress, what is maybe they are planning to do. You know, if we can't account for these leaders, then it means even if we can be pointing fingers, then that will be all in vain. We need to be very, very, very. We need to put these people into account. You know, as much as we can talk a lot. This country, it's tribal. You know, the interest of the community is what people consider before they vote. You know, as long as we are also tribal, like this country, we can mention about the Murima, the Western Ward, the Nyanza, then it means we cannot really cure the problems of this country. If we can have somebody who has got you know, the heart of the people, maybe distribute resources equally without maybe considering that these people maybe voted. Like, I happen to come from Kisii, you know, maybe Kisii, I don't know, because we have measured, we want to have a candidate maybe in the coming election. I have never seen Ruto come to Kisii maybe to launch some projects. So it's like politics. It's ni kitu ya kugawa tu resources. If you supported the government, then you get resources, and if you didn't, you expect little to be done in that area, your area, and then maybe if you happen to be in government next time, maybe you expect more resources to come to your place. So with kind of that politics, then we don't expect. If that is the mentality, that is the mentality our leaders have, then it means we can't have an equal country. Tutang'ang'ana tu, lakini hizo shida zitaendelea tu kukuja na kurudia. Asante.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel, for your submission. And guys, as we will be trying to wind up the discussion for today, please, when you get the mic, please try to restrict at least to 2 minutes each so that we can proceed and maybe do the wind up. So I'll get back to Mr. Collins, then I will move to Mr. Tomboya. Collins.
Thank you. Mine, I will just be brief, and I will just wanted to highlight about two things. First of all, we are the two houses. We are have really let down the Kenyan people, and our problem and our conversation, we have already shifted our blame to the presidency. And if you look at what the two houses have done to the Kenyan people, it's terrible. And I was requesting if maybe in the next State of the Nation, we can talk about the two houses of parliament. Secondly, about the Iebc. Iebc set a bad precedence from 2007 up to date. And there's a feeling among our Kenyans that even the coming election, we are not sure what will happen because the politicians are normally micromanaging everything they wanted to do. So we need to be vigilant. We need to make noise as much as we can as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that quick submission. Let's hear from Mr. Tomboya. After that, we will hear from Mr. Samuel, then Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve Amenya. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll be brief. So far, we've reached here, and it's like we are writing a history because we've consistently talked. And I'll just urge us to continue educating each other. As time goes, young people are growing and they are getting the information. We will be able to make decisions on the ballot with our brains, not with a brainwashed mindset. So let us keep talking. And this is happening just as my elder sister Redempta said, when a change comes, it is inevitable. It is just the law of nature. So let us have hope, regardless of how the perpetrators of iniquity and adversities that we are experiencing uh, appear to be more confident on whatever direction they are taking. Let us not lose hope. Let us keep educating each other. Let us keep talking. And I thank Hillary for his consistency on the pressure points. That is the message we are going to continue sharing and advocating for. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You are a gentleman. And let's go to Samuel, then we go to Steve Amenya. Samuel. Samuel, you are in the speaker. Thank you. Mr. Samuel, I can't hear you speak. I think Mr. Samuel is having some little issue. Can we get to Mr. Steve Amenya, please? Thank you.
Thank you. I was just chiming back in to maybe speak on one or two things that people have touched on. First of all, I mean, my brother Fabish, he spoke about someone like Maraga and tried to point to age as a reason why we should not consider him as a candidate, a possible candidate for 2027, a progressive candidate. I don't think age is a big issue here. I think it's someone's track record and integrity. That's what we are looking at. We have had presidents who have even risen to power, like a prime minister in Malaysia, Mahathir Mohamad, 92, when he came back to, because people looked at his track record and thought he could contribute. So as long as someone still has their faculties, they're able to stand in the moment when someone needs to stand. Malaga is a person who was even bribed, allegedly bribed a lot of money, 200 million, but he did not take it in 2017. That is someone who can withstand pressure. And that's what we need at this moment, to stand in that place for Kenya. But that's not my main point, really. My main point I wanted to put across is, and that's why I came back, really, because I've spoken earlier, is that I would like us to see, I'd like us to make tangible, actionable items out of these meetings that we're having. Otherwise, we end up having talk shops. And one thing I'd like to propose, as I earlier proposed, that we need to, have a way of supporting candidates who are willing to come out, who want to run for different levels, maybe by printing their posters. That is one way of us being active in this thing. So if we sort of come up with such tangible and actionable items, and then we work together towards it, that will go a long way towards us mobilizing and achieving what we want to get in 2027. And another thing that I think is very necessary, as I wrap up, is I think there's need for us to have a secretariat, because we are fighting an enemy, as someone said earlier, like Ruto, who's got immense resources, who we, as we know, does not even sleep. Some people say that. So there's no way we can defeat him if we don't outfight, outwit, outthink, outmaneuver, outcampaign, out everything. And not just Ruto. We are trying to uproot a 60-year-old kleptocracy, a government run by thieves. This has been going on since independence, 60 plus years now. And we think it's going to be a walk in the park. Like we just going to walk our way and find our way in State House, and with all leaders in all ranks who are willing to move Kenya in a totally different direction, where we are pro-people. It's not going to just happen like that. We have to sit down. We have to plan meticulously. It has to be planning, mobilization, and acting in a meticulous way. Otherwise, we'll be back here on this talk show, not talk show really, but on these meetings in up post 2027, immediately after the election. We'll be talking about the same thing. I'm planning for 2032, and we'll never achieve anything. So I'd like us to move towards actionable items, even if they're small steps. Maybe you can say tonight, let us have, a few people, like 4 or 5. We know people who are trustworthy who've come to these shows. Let us have a secretariat that takes up these things, makes them actionable, and actions them, so that whenever we meet again next time, we are saying, okay, last time we discussed this, how far have we gone? We take at least half the time discussing on how far we've done. Of course, we can't discuss everything on this platform because we have people from the government who are listening, but at least let's have some high level things we can discuss to keep us progressing. Otherwise, we'll be forever talking and really not achieving much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Steve Amenya. Thank you so much for that quite impressive submission. Hatuna nchi hapa, nimeona umeingia. I'll give you time as we will be going from the final round. For those in the speakers, I'll be giving those in the speaker another time to give their submissions as we will be trying to wind up today's conversation. Hatuna nchi hapa.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I would like to thank the previous speaker, and he was very meticulous in what he said. Actually, we should be having a track record of what we expect to do. I know there are a lot of NIS agents here, but really, we love our country. We really don't care. All we care about is for each and every common mwananchi to get what he deserves, because each one of them works very hard, wakes up very early in the morning, contributes to the basket of the country, but gets nothing in return. Anyway, this is what I would like to talk about. 3 things. Number 1 is IBC. I think the bylaws that we have can protect us, because we know that elections are supposed to be decided at the constituency level. So basically what that means is even the media should be calling the election before the ratification is done. Just same way like what happens in the US. The media calls the election even before the electoral commission, goes ahead and ratifies everything. If we have people in each and every constituency, we have a right to that form. We have a right to take pictures of it. It is posted in the IEBC website. Then why not call that election? Why not have a credible election? I know the state will self-fear. The state will try to shortchange people. But if we stand steadfast, yes, that won't be an issue. But my problem is to the second point. Most of those candidates that are there are people who have been taking pictures with our unqualified president currently. And they have corruption smeared on all their faces. Very sad. But let me tell you one thing. If you have read the story of Saul and David and Goliath, you know that David had everything stacked against him, but he prevailed. Not only against Goliath, but also against Saul. Saul had all the state machinery. Saul had all the army. But what happened? Because David was anointed, he became king. And his reign and his son's reign, so that in Israel, gold was like chakula yenye unakula asubuhi na mchana. Anyway, my last thing that I'm going to talk about is as we said, we are a country led by thieves. I would like to quote two CSs that have been going on the news. One of them is the CS of Interior, who is saying that people saying Ruto must go are alcoholics. It's so funny that people who are drunk in power are complaining on people who are high on patriotism. It's a very sad state of affairs. People who are drunk in power, people who boast on social media of what they are wearing, people who have V8s going in counties that have no roads. boasting to people that want the best for their country, that they are drunkards. Anyway, it just beats logic. The second thing is our unable CS for finance, who commented that we should allow corruption so that the money, at least we should allow corruption so that the money that is contributed is spent in Kenya. Now, these two people should not even be holding office. If someone speaks like that in Japan right now, the whole country will be sending to their houses. In Japan, people resign because the train came 2 seconds late. In Kenya, the country is 50 years behind of what it should be, but people don't care less of the state of the economy, of the state of education, of the state of healthcare. All these people that are promoting SHA, they have their own private hospitals, milking every single cent poor Kenyans have. It's very disheartening. As the previous speaker said, this is not going to be a walk in the park. But what we can do is we believe in a living God. And if we are astute and we believe that we will rescue our country, comrades, let's forge on. Ruto must go. Peace out.
Thank you so much, Tuna Inchi Hapa, for that, and we appreciate that. So, guys, let's take 2 minutes each. I see we have new members, that is Paul and Daniel. Daniel, will you please give us your submission, then Paul? Thank you.
I hope you can some static earlier. Okay. Anyway, I wanted to follow up on what Fabish. I wasn't going to talk actually, but I wanted to follow up on what Fabish was saying. And I think there's something we often forget as people, which is that there's a difference between abdicating power and delegating power. So what has happened in Kenya since independence is abdicating of power. And now, for the first time in probably ever, we are trying to then tell the people who are used to power being abdicated to them. By abdicating, I mean they are free to do whatever they want. And then they come and they give us some theater of stupid things around here. Agreements here with our political. All that has always been abdicating power. And now, for the first time, people are being faced with the reality that what we want is to delegate that power.
Daniel,
And
Daniel,
now
are you
people
using are you using earphone because you're talking then you're breaking in between?
Bole, yeah, that was actually the problem. I hope, can you hear
No,
me
you're
clearly? Or
good.
do I need to
Yeah,
repeat?
go ahead.
Okay, what I wanted to say is we should not confuse abdicating power with delegating power. And anytime you hear yourself saying, I expect the IEBC to come and then it will save the country, we'll be able to get a president, or Matiang'i, or whoever the hell it is, it does not matter who sits on that chair. As long as the power they are holding is delegated, they have to be responsible for it, because they know if I fumble here, I am in trouble. That is delegated power. What they had for this time is abdicated power, which is why we're having to hope that the IBCs, we have to hope that we can find a candidate for ourselves so that we can be able to abdicate our power to that candidate, and then that candidate can save the country. That will never happen. As long as the power we have is abdicated, it will always serve the interest of the people you have abdicated it to. But as long as the power is delegated, it doesn't matter who sits in the presidency. That person will have to be responsible because they have delegated power. If they fumble, they are in trouble. And what Ruto is facing right now is someone who was certain he's going to have abdicated power, but all of a sudden he's being told, no, actually, what we want to give you is delegated power. And that is why you have the resistance. I'm done. I hope I was able to be audible. Paul, if maybe I wasn't clear.
Thank you, Mr. Paul, though you are breaking at some point, but I think we got your points and submissions. And thank you so much. We had next was supposed to have Paul. Paul, talk to the Daniel. Okay. Let us, guys, let us wind up, and if in the speaker, let's talk in this order. We'll start with the final submissions. We start with Mr. Steve, then we'll move to Miss Dolphin, then Mr. Chacha, then Mr. Paul, then Mr. Academia, then Mr. Western, then Mr. Maura, then Miss Redemptor, then Dr. Milton, then I will hand it over back to the host. Thank you, Mr. Steve. Final remarks, Mr. Steve. If you don't have Mr. Steve, we will proceed on to Miss Dolphin.
Hello, good
Seemingly-
evening. Could you please,
Thank you,
I'm
thank you.
there, but I'm a bit, something has held me up. Just give me a few minutes.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much. Mr. Chacha.
Hello, thanks a lot. I think a lot has been shared by previous speakers. Mine will be that we need to continue and sustain this conversation. And anybody listening, NIS or otherwise, we love the country, but we do not owe anybody love. We love the country as it is, but we do not owe anybody love that holds any office. Our allegiance to the state is cannot be questioned. Our allegiance to institutions cannot be questioned. But we have problems and are very pessimistic with some people who are holding those offices, and rightly so, because man by nature is selfish, and therefore they're likely to even pursue their selfish interests, which they are doing. Nonetheless, I think there is hope. The fact that we are even having this discussion, but we need to reach out to more people, online and offline, and you'll be able to convert one person to this particular course in one way or the other. In terms of a secretariat, that will have to be structured, but also remember, they're also listening, want to know who is doing who is doing what, so that they can jump on your neck like a crocodile. But nonetheless, I wish everybody a good night, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chacha. May I take this chance and give Crispinas Musumba to submit before I go to Mr. Paul? Crispinas.
Okay, how are you guys? I want to thank everyone. Yeah, I've been listening to everyone who was presenting his what he has. Kitu yenye mi nataka kusema the moment nimekuwa natafuta opportunity, nipate opportunity ya ku deliver what yenye na feel towards my country. The moment personally I will hit some of president, the NIS, then I'll come to the political side, the political arena. Yeah, wakati tunaongelea NIS right now, NIS wenyewe they are not functional. In fact, they are doing business. A lot of information they sold outside. They have decided to pursue their self-interest. Let the president alone. Even themselves, the people that are in that docket, they are no longer functional. But for us, it is an advantage for that, because hawa watu ni watu wengine bure. Sasa hii pia wanatafuta kuacquire wealth kama president mwenyewe. Hiyo ni one thing. Alafu utapata kuna interest kubwa sana ya Somalia kukua hapa Kenya, na sijui kwa nini president kama hao ndio walimfanta yeye kuwin election ya 2022. That's why they keep on demanding for more, kwa sababu the moment mkitaka kujua kwa nini Ruto ako too much involved na Somalia. Last time tulikuwa tunasema Somalia wasichukue mafuta yenye kwa simu.
A minute, Mr. Crispinas, we are winding up, so I want you to go to the action plan. What next? What do we need to do? Just in 2 minutes, then we proceed, please.
Okay, thank you. there's this. I'll just put what we'll do next about political. People should we should keep off tribal politics. As we align ourselves, we should figure out. People should not become so selfish of themselves. They want their people to rule this. They can just choose either side. If we choose the minority and the support comes from us, we don't fear. If we feel that we can prove enough to that person what that's it. Remember, he is minority and he has been given mandate to a lot of people, so he cannot control us. In fact, whatever we want, he can control. Yeah, he'll get power, but he'll have a little control to be taken, a little power to be on his hand. So for us is an opportunity to see that no, let anyone stand for us, not for political, not for our interests or desire. We want that this person, because if you are going to a tribal line with Ruto, we cannot win. Actually, we'll never win because he has been tribal for a long time. He knows how to play political card. He know how to create conflict. Personally, I see him creating conflict everywhere. The moment conflict arises, he will win this. He will win against us easily. So my personal appeal to everyone is that people should look Ruto in another way around, not in a tribal line. If you want to win against him, but if you are going to tribal line, that's why he's trying to unite Western, so that to create those misunderstanding among other people, so that he can win. So I urge everyone and personal appeal. Let's look for somebody who will be potential, not be influenced by the bloggers. You know, bloggers serve many masters. We are not bloggers. We are there to fight for our country. We are not bloggers can sell the country, but for us, let's serve our country with the dignity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Crispinas. Let's move to Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul, please.
All right, thank you. I think I have about 2 points to put across. I think the first one is obviously having this conversation helps, because you can tell with the way the NIS is coming and talking about things, and obviously they have intelligence, they know what's happening, and I think if they were very strategic, then it won't worry them. The fact that they come out and speak actually is a very good thing, because that lets you know that's where they stand. So it helps you to strategize in the future, because even whenever they're speaking, actually we should be afraid when they're silent. I think it's better when they speak, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. Hence, you will know their strategy and how they're thinking. So we know already their plan. So that actually was a very good thing that happened. So when you know your enemy's plan, as much as they think they're listening and they're sharp, but they've already covered it by the fact that they actually state of certain they give a particular statement with what's going out there. You tell your voices are winning. So that's something you should actually know, and that's a hope that people should actually have. Obviously, there has to be actions plans, as we say, but every time we talk, we are planting a seed. The thought process, the mere conversation you're having, someone will go speak to someone else. You will change someone else's mind. You will enable. And I've been out there and I speak to different caliber of people. Like even today, I went for the game today, and actually it was good that it was a draw and there was no problems, because people were anticipating problems at the match, and that's a good thing. It shows like maturity of Kenyans, as much as they try to divide, as they say, like through tribal lines and things like that. And that's what the earlier gentleman was saying. As in, Kenyans are mature, as much as they would like to do those distractions, having kingpins and all that kind of stuff. I think most people are mature. It's like the battle of now. The battle is in the mind, and the battle has been actually at the moment. The Gen Z have and the Kenyans who of equal measure, like the people who are here, have won already. It's just a matter of time to actualize the crowning of the win. But now, obviously, like that's why these guys are fighting. Obviously, we stay ahead. So that's my action plan. We keep on talking, strategize, stay ahead. we can have actually parallel. We can have a parallel. We don't. The IBC actually, as an earlier gentleman, I think, and the lady probably alluded, as in they don't hold much sway. Whoever is there, like as much as we account that day is I think on that particular day, Kenyans come out and we are willing to stay out there a day or 2 days. What does it take? People died on the 20th of June. 60 people died. So this could be actually a very good stance where people will say, for the death wasn't in vain, and we're gonna stand here and see that everything is done, everything's transparent. Forget about these forms that come out. We want to actually see where the boxes are going. It's transparent, verifiable. We can verify the box have not been moved, they're not been tampered. All the tickets which have been put in there, they have been counted, and you can even recount again with evidentials. So that way they cannot win. As long as we're united and we form those kind of parallel with the IBC and making sure that's verifiable, then we'll ultimately we win. So that's my take for today. That's it. I learned.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul. Mr. Academia, are you there?
Yes, thank you. My final remarks. One, we need to allow the institutions that we put in place to work. So there is no doubt that they have to work. And you see, this question of integrity and who can maybe be the IEBC chairperson, it must be a Kenyan. And we must understand that either way, it will be a Kenyan. So let us reduce the trust deficit, because you cannot actually tell if this person can be IEBC based on what they are currently, how you look at them, or what they have done, because where they are going is a totally different place. So how will they behave when they're already there? Because all these people have been IEBC chairperson before the eyes of the public. They are qualified. But once they step in there, I don't know what happens there. Then all of a sudden, people believe that they don't perform well. So from the outlook, we cannot say so and so can be IEBC chairperson to the extent that we believe with the outcome, because it has never worked. He has never worked there, or she has never worked there. So let us give opportunity for every Kenyan who wants to be an IEBC chairperson. And if they are elected, plus the commissioners, if they're elected, we must trust them, because we cannot change Kenya unless we go that way. Otherwise, we are not going to believe anybody or trust anybody if everybody we bash and all that. So let us, and again, let us acknowledge or recognize that we are not fighting a system that maybe we understand. I don't know why I keep on saying this, because I tend to believe over 60 years, we've been talking about the political class. But how come every time we change them, we don't see the result? Could it be the problem is the house that they sit in, or there is a way how they change when they get to that house, or what could be there? Because if you are a repeater in the same class, if you repeat it twice or thrice, we could actually see the result increasing. But if that result is not, we are not seeing the result, though you better not be in that class repeating, because you can't improve. So what are you doing there? So I think allow Kenyans to do what they want to do, because that is who we are. So let us not talk as if these politicians are from a breed, another breed, and we are from another, and yet we elect them. So we can't elect them, and then all of a sudden we pretend and if they are not doing what. Of course, you cannot dictate who somebody was going to do as to elect them, but that's what they'll be doing. So what do we need to do? People, you need to register in large numbers for those who are going to vote in 2027, because that's the only way we can change it. I've already told you in my stand that I don't think we can change the current status quo through the ballot, where we don't even believe we don't even trust the body who is going to carry the election. Once you don't have a trust in the IEBC, so why you do want to go and vote if you don't trust the body? It means you already lost that, and the result will more or less the same of what you expect. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Academia, for the final submission. Mr. Samuel, I see you come and you drop. Please, can you quickly give us your final submission before I go to Mr. Western? Thank you.
Okay. I think I'm audible right now.
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like just to give a few pointers. Let's say, let me call them points, because I like to warn or to give these NIS people, because I know they are here, they are listening. I just like to tell them, according to how Kenyans are angry, and according to where the political pressure and temperatures are right now, if this thing is rigged, and if they take what Kenyans will and have been working for all this time, and what patriots who died on the 25th were working for and looking towards to, we won't have a country. It's a sad truth, it's a naked truth, and it's a truth that they must be told. If this thing gets rigged, I fear the day. I fear the day. Because people are angry. And it's not just, that is why this political class, they are trying to bring in the tribal card. It's not working. They are trying to bring in the drunk and the drugs card. It's not working. They are trying to bring in the military. Is not, the KDF guy is not working. They are trying, they've killed people. They've abducted people. This thing is not going out. It's not going away. It's not going. It's here to stay. And I like to tell them, they should sit down and think about where the country is headed, because they are living in the same country as we are. We don't have another country. This is the only country we have. No one is going anywhere. We are still here. We will be here. That will come and we will be here. So I like them to just sit and think. Don't fight the people. Don't fight an idea that its time has come. Because this time or this idea, it's here and it's here with us. And we cannot look away from it. We cannot bash it. We cannot kill it. You cannot kill an idea. You can kill a lot of people, but you will never kill an idea that has been sown into the minds and hearts of Kenyans. This will not change, no matter how people you kill, no matter how many people you abduct. This will not change. It will not. As a matter in fact, it will continue. It will just go on mounting itself up, becoming a monster that you will not be able to contain. This, it will have a snowball effect, whereby you will keep on trying to stop it, but it will not stop. You keep on trying to threaten people, but it will not stop. A day after people were threatened that saying Ruto must go, must be done according to the constitution. You saw what happened in KU University. There were chants. Ruto must go, Ruto must go. This is something organic. You cannot kill it. You cannot ignore it. The only thing that you can do is do what people are saying. Your time is over and change is here with us. So it doesn't really matter what you say. It doesn't really matter what you do. It doesn't really matter how much money you have. It doesn't really matter whether you are backed by the army or whatever. It doesn't. The idea is here with us. And the worst thing that you can do is taking it away from the people or trying to take it away from the people. This idea was born by this government. It was born by this government. The day you heard about dynasties, Who was the first one to talk about dynasties? It's these same people. That's when the idea was born. That's when the seed was sown. Now they are reaping the fruits. And it will not stop. I'm telling you, this will not stop. Let me just drop it there and give someone else time to speak. I think my 2 minutes are out. But my final words, tafadhali NIS, endeni mwambie Kasongo, ukiiba kura Kenya itaungua, utaingia ndege, utaenda. Hasira iko na watu and people are angry. Hiyo sio mimi. Hivyo ndio mimi ninaona venye kuna kasa ile hasira iko na watu. By the time tufike 2026 mwezi wa 9 hapo, most of these politicians that are singing your name, they will drop you like it's hot. Watakuwa wamekula yao wamemaliza. Dakika ya mwisho utaachwa solo. That is the truth. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel. Let's move so quick to Mr. Western, then Mr. Mwaura. Thank you.
Thanks, Pombe. One, IEBC is an extension of the state. It has been like that from the beginning. It's not going to change. Secondly, elections are never stolen on the D-Day, the day people wake up to go and cast their ballots. Elections are stolen way before. It's only a clumsy politician or president who waits for the D-Day to steal elections. The way Kibaki did it in 2007, that was extremely clumsy. What does that tell us? If the preparatory process to leading up to 2027 is going to be exclusively at the hands of the political elite, you don't have to rack your head. That election is already rigged. The other thing is that national dialogue is imperative because the national dialogues we've had before were discarded by the political elite. One, for instance, Kenyans did not want the provincial administration that was there before this new constitution, but it's still there. These people you see being called regional commanders or I don't know, commissioners, whatever they're called, those are relics of the provincial administration that Kenyans across the board, when they made their submissions, demanded that that colonial relic be done away with. Kibaki maintained it. Secondly, we come here and say the president is the symbol of national unity. But what happened was that the draft constitution that was supposed to be taken to Kenyans to approve was a parliamentary one, which means the president